Can I have someone move the agenda to the table, please? Moved by Mr. Butler, seconded by Mr. Maloney. Any additions, corrections to the agenda? Seeing none, all those in favor of the agenda? That passes 8-0. My student leaders from Arcadia, welcome this evening. You guys are up.
You guys have a presentation?
Yes.
That's yours, right?
That's for presenting
Yeah.
the mic.
Is there a way to like show the presentation?
Yeah, it'll come up in a moment. Joe.
Do you want me to just use mine?
And then you can just hit the down button.
Okay.
Put it back to-
Okay. Good evening, everyone. I am Elizabeth Avil with Titan TV on site at the Board of Education meeting to talk about some exciting things happening at Arcadia High School. I'm here with my good friend and co-host, Molly.
Well, Lizzie, there's a lot going on over at Arcadia. First off, the PE teachers have created Positive Vibe Friday to supplement our SEL work that we are doing at Arcadia. Last spring, a bunch of hardworking girls came together for the inaugural season of flag football. With the help of some amazing coaches, our team became much more than a team. As the season progressed, we became our own little flag football family.
As Molly said, last year was the first season for flag football, and we have a few student athletes here to share a little bit more about our experience. But first up, we are going to turn it over to Molly for some more information about Positive Vibe Friday.
So Positive Vibe Friday kicks off with a little reminder in the morning on Titan TV.
Who's ready for PVF?
Yeah, that's me, everybody.
Who's ready for PVF?
Can you just put that on a cycle for me?
There's never a bad Friday. How did the idea of PVF come about?
So, last year, 2022, we were given a brand-new phys ed teacher to our district and to our department. And I overheard a man say, "There's no bad Friday, PVF." And I was like, that sounds like an awesome idea. So he used the words to set the stage for this new tradition we have at Arcadia.
So, Mr. Lipinski, can you tell us why PVF?
So it's already been said a couple times, there's no bad Friday, right? And you get a chance to lead yourself into the weekend. And I always try to tell kids, and even though you might feel stressed and whatnot throughout the week gets better, and then you get a couple days to relax. So to me, I've always kind of had that thought process of, you know what, in the end, it's Friday, let's get through it together, and then, kind of end on a positive note. So.
Let's see what our Titans have to say about PVF.
Welcome back, Titans, and I'm back with my great friend Nehemiah here.
Hello, I'm Nehemiah Daniel.
Nehemiah, can you tell me, what is Positive Vibe Friday?
Positive Vibe Friday is a day in the week where everybody in gym class gets to know each other in different group activities that the teacher provides, like this game right here where they're playing with.
Look at what's going on behind us right now.
He's trying to get the ping pong ball on the other side.
But he cannot touch the ping
In
pong.
a group effort with different people, every single gym class, to get to know each other and be kumbaya.
It's very true, and it is so much fun, and I look forward every Friday. This makes my morning.
Have a good day, Titans.
Thank you so much. Welcome back, Titans.
Front sets. backstory to this.
Yeah, this game is called One Marshmallow, and apparently it's a new thing on TikTok. So as a group, they had to collaborate and try to get as many marshmallows. If you have a chance, you might want to check it out. It's a really fun game.
So, you know, I got 9, so you guys do yourself.
Whatever the number of marshmallows is, you take the number and add it on top. All right, try it out.
Hi guys, I'm here with,
Trinity, Jules.
and today we're talking about Positive Vibe Friday. So, what is the part that you most enjoy about it?
I like that we're all together as a community bonding. It's really chill and like we're all bonding together.
And how do you think it helps connect the students within the building?
When we're all like together playing games, we're all bonding, communicating, having fun. It's just, yeah. I like it because it's like it's less forced than SEL, so like we're all kind of just chilled and playing games together and communicating.
Thank you guys.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Hi guys, I'm
Ms. Herbst, how have you used Positive Vibe Friday and connected it with Arcadia's SEL lessons?
So basically, we started last year with this, and we're always trying to meet our students. We had a really good meeting today, and to start engaging them in different ways. But we tried to level the playing field, creating games with community building, decision-making, teamwork type of activities, and really creating a positive vibe, a positive atmosphere that we can take into the hallways and into our classrooms. And just authentically, I feel it is always fit into phys ed, and we do that naturally. So what better place? We see every student in the building, and Fridays are fun. So, thank you, Elizabeth.
We are here with Amy Turner and Sam Mao from the team. What positions do you guys play?
Hi, my name is Amy Turner, and I play quarterback and defensive line.
Hi, my name is Sam, and I play wide receiver and running back.
So what made you guys decide to join flag football?
For me, when I was a kid, I always wanted to play football, and since it was a new sport, it just got a lot of talk, and everybody was excited about it.
I wanted to be a part of a new sport for this school, and it also seemed really cool to play flag football. I got to make a bunch of new friends and be with some amazing coaches.
Coach Lipinski developed a mindset that we follow in our program. The phrase "write the script" is our brand, and we take pride in developing our story. What does "write the script" mean to you?
To me, it's basically saying that no matter how people view you or what you're gonna do, it doesn't matter because it just means that you gotta put in the work, and the outcome comes with how much work you put in.
For me, Write the Script is creating a story, and our flag football team is paving the way for upcoming seasons to grow and get more people involved.
What are your personal goals this season, and what do you think the team goals are?
My personal goal is to work on skills that were harder for me in the previous season, and to have achieving positive mindset. And also for the team goal, I would say that we should have a winning mindset and build on our chemistry.
Personally, I would want to be able to read the field better because when I'm running back, I want to be able to see if I should run outside or in the middle. And for the team goal, I think that we need to build an army and hopefully win sectionals and get farther than last year.
The team visited the Buffalo Bills training facilities for a session with teams from both Section 5 and 6. We also went to the Bills training camps over the summer. Were you able to learn from those experiences?
Yes, the experience was really important and a great opportunity to work with kids and the Bills team for working on your skills that you definitely needed to play. And also it was just a great atmosphere to be in because everyone was excited to work hard.
During the Buffalo Bills camp, it was a chance to make better connections with everyone and also meet people from sections 5 and 6, but that was pretty cool. It was also really cool to meet the Bills players and take all pictures. That was pretty cool.
Have you used these experiences in the past season?
Yes, it helped a lot with building your skills and just makes it more natural for you to play on the field.
Yeah, these experiences helped us improve our team chemistry. And without those team connections, it'd be a lot harder to play with each other, and our team wouldn't be as strong.
So, how did it feel to beat Hilton and Athena in sectionals?
It was amazing beating our crosstown rivals at such a high stakes game because like we actually owed them a dub because they beat us, like a win. Yeah. And it was also amazing to beat Hilton because they're such a competitive like sporting like program, so it just boosted our morale overall, and it just proved that it doesn't matter like how people view you again. It's like how much work you put in, it pays off in the end.
It felt amazing. I was thrilling to be a crosstown rival in a super close game with over 500 people watching.
How did it feel to go to the sectional semifinal against Penfield?
All right, so it was pretty weird because the game was postponed due to the air quality, but when we got to the game, I had a positive attitude and I was in good standing with my team.
So I was actually really nervous for the game, but I was so excited to just be there and have fun.
As we all have seen, the Titans community is pretty incredible. We try to keep students as involved as possible, and there are 2 great ways to be involved and make a difference at Arcadia.
We are so grateful to have this opportunity to come and speak with you all. Again, I am Molly, and alongside of me is Elizabeth.
That is all we have for today. Remember to be kind and go Titans!
I'm going to have you guys come up front. We're going to do a picture. So, with the board, and you guys.
I'm coming on a Friday. It was.
Next up, we have our BOCES District 2 Superintendent, the lovely Joanne Antonacci, and our Board Vice President, Chuck Phillips. Welcome this evening.
Thank you for having us on our annual visit. I just said to Chuck, remind me, Chuck has been on the BOCES board for 31 years. So, and he's representing Greece very well, so thank you. So first, a shout out to the staff and to the board and Kathy. You house a number of our classrooms. We have 2813 self-contained special ed at preschool classrooms and 1 integrated one at English Village Elementary, 1 integrated preschool classroom at their Early Learning Center, and a 612 Autism Spectrum Disorders classroom at Arcadia. I just can't tell you how much we appreciate how our students are included, our staff are included, and we're part of our community. So thank you to all that help us do that. In terms of curriculum instruction and professional development, our team is working with Greece in the areas of professional development for generation learning standards, and we provide some regional support in all your content areas, and also doing instructional coaching, particularly around culturally responsive framework. So there's a number of things going on in all of your buildings on that. This past summer, we did run the regional summer school, kind of back up and running since COVID. Greece had 805 students participate in remedial and review and courses. So, and again, we're going to be, we're gearing up again for this summer to do that. In career and technical education, right now, Greece has 262 students as of November 1st enrolled in our program in 26 different types of courses that we have. Wamoko is growing. I'm sure you've heard. We're out of space. One exciting thing that we finally were able to get off the ground this year is we have 2 courses right now at Springdale Farm, which is located in Spencerport. It's heavy equipment and it's agriculture. These are, and so we hope to put a couple more courses there that would be in the farming area and different things that we can do in a park-like setting. So we're working with Monroe County on those to be able to do that. So we're right there right now in 2 mobile classrooms is what we have. The future, I'm hoping with the future discussions with the county will actually be maybe a bigger building and some more things. We do need, bottom line is we need a second site for career and technical education, so we're working through those pieces. Space, I'll get to space in just a second. More in your CT student highlights. In terms of Skills USA, you have a number of students that participate in Skills USA. Just recently, Brady Sharala was honored at Arcadia for personal skills professionalism in skills, and Karina Cataletta in digital and visual communication from Arcadia and her workplace skills. Autumn Bickham in child family development from Arcadia and personal skills self-motivation, and Quanari Bradwell in child family and development. These students are very much involved in Skills USA and doing a number of different activities and events for that and in competitions both regionally and then also throughout the state. CATS is our Communication and Technology Services program, and we're working with your staff on 2 platforms, one called eDoctrina, and the other one is iReady, and these are platforms for assessments for staff and also for student data and housing student data so that teachers can more easily read through what they need to do, plan lessons, et cetera, and work together as a group, and Ryan Mayer works very closely with your staff on that. BOCES for Science, Greece right now is leasing 633 kits from our BOCES for Science. We are all moved into our new location. We moved from Turner Drive to Rochester Tech Park. And Kathy knows the invitation is open to you and the board. If you ever want to come and see those facilities, we can certainly arrange that. So, and that's working really, really well. We're servicing now, BOCES for Science is servicing about 140-some districts throughout the state. And BOCES for Science, we changed it from elementary science program because it's the 4 BOCES that have come together to try for a cost savings for all of our districts. So Monroe 1, Monroe 2 Orleans BOCES, Genesee Valley, and Wayne Finger Lakes BOCES. In just a reminder on in CWD, our Center for Workforce Development, we're back to a new location. We're back at Wamoko. And 2 things that we like to remind the districts of, that we still have a high school equivalency program for young adults, ages 16 to 20, that are still enrolled in high school and are referred from the district programs. And then we also have an out-of-school youth program, 18 to 20-year-olds that are no longer in school and self-enrolled, but the district can approve those for that. And that's actually picking up. Some of our adult ed programs, if you go by our campus in the evening, the parking lot is full with a number of different things, which is nice to see, and people are obviously getting more jobs from there. And we have a number of students enrolled in some of those programs. Space, so the final frontier. We obviously, I mentioned that we're out of it with Career Tech and with some of the other programs that we're trying to start. So the board has launched right now a space committee. We're looking both at short-term and long-term goals for our 9 districts. We're also doing an enrollment study of our 9 districts to help us inform us better in terms of what our BOCES can do for our 9 districts. Are there programs that may be shrinking that we should be, maybe not maintaining anymore, and what programs are increasing? And obviously, Career Tech is a big one. We were over 300 students more this year in that. So we're bursting at the seams, and we want to add more sections. We just don't have the space to do that. Special ed is another area that we're taking a look at to come up with some other specialized programs, such as long-term suspensions in our community schools, which I know we're going to partner nicely with Greece. So a number of different things that we're working on. We've identified, staffing and recruiting, that's the elephant in the room. That's hurt us also. We have a number of positions still that we have not filled. We're continuing to do it. This year, the board has given me carte blanche. Joanne, do whatever you got to do in hiring and recruiting efforts. Let's get out there and do more than we even typically do. And we're trying to do that. So there are some areas that we might have to dial back with districts on, and then some other areas that we're still giving it all we got to just try to get to where we need to get to. Internally in the programs, we're taking a look at our service delivery for a number of things, and if we can find another way to service delivery where students can still get service, we're going to do that. So those are some of the things we're working on. Chuck?
Thank you, Joy. I just wanted to mention some of the programs. It's great to see the expansion of, for example, Joanne mentioned the agricultural program and the heavy equipment program. More and more kids are interested in getting into agriculture, and I think this is great. I recently went to the school board's conference in Buffalo, and the kids there were so enthused with agriculture. They have a tractor they're trying to, not our district, but another district, raffle off that they rebuilt and re-welded it and put the whole tractor back together, and they were just so excited about the program. And any of the kids on the floor you talk to, we're excited about the various programs. Our students, we had a baking, I call it baking, but it's a cooking, baking program. Culinary, yeah, all right, whatever. And then that was very good. The kids were excited about that as well. I also just want to remind you, the annual meeting, which is open to everyone, is in April 10th of next year. It doesn't seem like so long, and I wish it was here because I'm not a big fan of winter anymore. But anyway, and other than that, if you have any questions, comments, or anything, give me a call, give Joanne a call, and you can go on a tour of anything. You can look at any class you want to look at, and any suggestions you have on classes or enrollment or anything, we're open to that. We really are. So with that, thank you very much for being here. Thank you for being board members. It's a tough job. It really is, especially in a local district. I was on this board for over 10 years, and believe me, there were some boards that were good, some boards that sort of argued with each other. So, but anyway, we had a board member who once threw his chair. So anyway,
We might have that tonight.
I hope not. I hope not. But anyway, just get along. Hey, we're all in this the same thing for kids, and that's the important part. So anyway, hey, take care. Thank you very much for the
Thank you
time.
both for coming.
And I just want to thank Kathy and all the staff. It's been a tough year, right? Last year and this year, they've been tough years. So I can't thank Kath enough and all the staff for the collaboration and the support that they give us. And Chuck's right, we can't do it alone. I love what the kids said tonight. We need to write the script together. So thank you very much for your time.
All right, rolling into our union comments. GTA, I don't see, oh, you snuck in, Mr. Eberts. You were in my blind spot. Welcome, sorry.
No problem. Good evening. Brian Eberts, president of the GTA. First and foremost, thank you very much. I say this every time I speak to the board, but your volunteerism, the many hours that you put forth to help students, staff, and the greater community is truly commendable. They have a lot of hobbies, a lot of friends and family that they give a lot of time away to devote to the Greece Central School District, so thank you. Couple of just updates on some positive things that we're doing in the community. Number one, making strides. I talked about it at an opening day. Just want to give you an update. Our fearless captain, Michelle Velkovic, and her crew raised almost $4,000 for making strides. And I know many of you in here donated, so I appreciate that. Keep it up. Next year, we're going to try to break 5. So keep us in mind if you want to join our team. We're all inclusive. In addition to the Making Strides update, I want to talk about 2 different updates that we've worked a lot with the district about. Excuse me. And thanks to Val Payne, Kelly Sperduto, and the amazing community schools team, we were able to do a couple different really neat things. First of all, we were able to once again collect funds and work with Operation Warm to provide hundreds of coats to kids in Greece. They're ordered, they're on their way, and they should be here fairly soon. Thankfully, Kelly, Val, and her crew are involved now because it used to be myself or possibly our Vice President Al Furlett making the orders, and you can imagine we're just not the best shoppers in the world. So thankfully they've taken us out of the loop, and we have the professionals in charge now, so thank you for that. But also, some of you might not remember, or you weren't part of Greece back in 2019, but the Greece Central School District and the GTA worked with American Federation of Teachers and an organization called First Book, and we had a tractor trailer, literally a tractor trailer of books get delivered. It was over 100,000 books. And thank God for our facilities and so many other members in the Greece Central School District to help us. We were able to pass those out. Fast forward this year, our awesome colleagues in Webster and the Webster Teachers Association, led by President Chris Wojcik, did the same thing. They were able to get approximately 40 to 50,000 books. They had a huge event over the weekend. And we were able to get some of those books because back in 2019, we shared our books as well to Webster and Fairport. So the Greece Central School District now has about 4,000 books or so in their belongings. And thankfully over this weekend, Kelly and Val and crew were able to get a lot of those out at the Fall Festival. So it's just, there's 2 examples, very brief, of collaboration that we couldn't do a lot of what we do without working with such fine, excellent staff that we have in the Greece Central School District. So I wanted to highlight that, but I also want to then take that collaboration theme and kind of work towards my wrap-up comment tonight. I know, I can time myself. Last year, some of you may or may not know that we worked hand in hand with the Greece Central School District leadership team to create a code of conduct committee, but that really, it's been around for a while, but we accentuated it by bringing in teams of leaders in the school, GTA representatives and building administration to come in and talk about the code of conduct, learn more about it, all become more on the same page and aligned so that we can infuse that collaboration and alignment back into the schools. And we felt like it worked pretty well. So this year what we wanted to do is that same kind of concept, but we're doing it with shared decision making. And we had our first meeting last month, and it was just absolutely fantastic to bring so many new teams who haven't worked together, focusing on labor, management, collaboration, looking through research, focusing on shared decision-making, what that means, how does it work in a system, how can we align ourselves better to have better systems to then, therefore, obviously, impact student growth and support our teaching faculty in the schools. So it was, to me, it was a great success. I have heard so many positive things about it. I say it tonight because it's just a really good example that's happening in our school district that I don't hear about in any other school district. And I work as a statewide director for NYSUT. I talk to presidents constantly. I see people everywhere throughout Long Island, North Country to Buffalo. We have something special with how we work with our leadership. It's not always perfect, but we do our best. We try very hard. So I wanted to bring that theme of collaboration back again. I mentioned that in my opening day remarks, but in hopes that next time we come back, we can say even more about the second meeting and the third meeting and the fourth. So just leave you on that positive note for tonight with all those different things. And again, thank you for all your work. Thanks to Superintendent Grantman and his amazing staff, and have a great night.
Thanks, Brian. All right, moving on. GASA, Principal Flagler, welcome.
Actually, as Brian's leaving, I was sitting there listening to him talking about the Code of Conduct Committee last year, and as a building principal, hearing that you're going to be pulled out of the building for 4 days, you're not like, yes, but I will, I will say that that experience last year was incredibly powerful, so I have a lot of hope that the shared decision-making process is going to go well. Anyway, so I'm here tonight. Good evening, President McCabe, board members, Superintendent Groutman, and cabinet members. My name is Kelly Flagler, and I'm the principal of Athena High School, and I'm thrilled to highlight a number of celebrations from our GASA leadership team. And Joe, can you help me out with the slides?
He's working on it.
Okay, we'll get there. The man behind the curtain comes out.
The wonderful remote connection is not being nice today.
Why, thank you. I always say if Joe Sweats get hits by a bus, the whole district is going down because he has such institutional knowledge. He's a special guy. So let's begin with some elementary school highlights. Elementary principals throughout our district are placing an emphasis on supporting students' growth in ELA. Over at Patty Hill, teachers are exploring the connections between science and ELA content in the new ARC core curriculum, while staff at Buckman Heights are using iReady and ERLA assessment data to identify students' strengths and needs. Over at Craig Hill, teachers are digging into the data behind vocabulary to maximize students' word fluency. Professional learning has also been a focus for GASA leaders throughout the fall. At Lakeshore, teachers are engaging in math or ELA instructional coaching cycles to improve outcomes for students. Teachers from English Village engaged in 3 days of staff training on iReady through modeling, coaching, and teacher reflection within grade level PLCs. While over at Long Ridge, teachers have implemented a new model known as WIN, What I Need, which is a block of time where all students receive targeted instruction based on students' specific goals so that everyone is being challenged in order to accelerate growth. Over at Holmes Road, Principal Dan Keelan is focusing on high-quality instruction. Specifically, teachers are using Hammond's lesson plan format of Ignite, Chunk, Chew, Review to implement high-leverage instructional practices that are proven to increase engagement and achievement. Over at Arcadia and Athena Middle Schools, Principals Brian Lum and Jason Fulkerson are leading students through academic goal setting using AVID at Arcadia Middle and Leader in Me at Athena Middle so that students reflect on and celebrate personal growth. Over at the Phoenix Academy, led by Assistant Director Rachel Hawkins, staff have a strong focus on direct instruction in social and emotional learning that they weave into the school culture. So now that Phoenix students currently are receiving 30 minutes of direct SEL instruction Monday through Friday, and they're reinforcing this new learning through the management of a new school store. At Greece Olympia, led by my dear friend, Principal Brandon Jones, who's seen here in his Raymond Noodle meets Tina Turner Halloween costume. And I'm sure there's going to be payback for this photo, so I bet he will find a way to pay me back for that one. Staff are continuing department PLC work by applying new learning to their content area through collaborative lesson planning. Grades 6 through 8 ELA and math teachers are also engaging in instructional coaching cycles with district interventionists. And last but certainly not least, a source of personal pride and joy, at Athena High School, our school improvement team has carefully crafted our professional learning calendar for the year, which includes a 7-session series beginning this month where all Athena High School faculty will engage in sessions on topics like standards-based grading, CASTA's level of questioning, mindfulness techniques for the classroom, and making connections to increase engagement. But the best part is that all the sessions are being led by Athena High School teachers who have a proven record of outstanding instruction and student achievement. As principal, it is truly a beautiful thing to step back and watch the faculty uplift one another with their collective strength and experience. On behalf of GASA, I wholeheartedly want to thank the board for your support. You may not always get to see the roles that you have in the day-to-day business in our schools, but I can assure you that your policies, Your requisition approvals and your equitable allocations are having a profoundly positive impact. Thank you for doing your jobs so that we can do our jobs. And in closing, I wish you all a wonderful week, and especially to Board Member Maloney. As we approach Veterans Day, the holiday, thank you, sir, and to all veterans in the Greece community for their service. Thank you.
Thank you, Kelly. I don't believe I have anybody here from AgSep, Gus, or Teamsters. Residents Forum, Ms. Johnson. Welcome this evening.
Good evening, everyone. Just gonna sit this here. So my name is Tiana Johnson. I am a parent leader. I am the alumni of the Parent Leadership Training Institute, Cohort 7, as well as the current site coordinator for the program. I sit as an executive committee member for the NAACP, and I chair the Youth and Young Adult Committee while working alongside the Education Committee, as our populations are the same. Tonight, though, I speak as a parent, and I come before the board asking you all to pay closer attention to the implementation of the CSE IEP process and the results thereof. Parent voice is not always honored in that space, and it is definitely supposed to be. Necessary staffing, as we just heard about, is needed to support kids, specifically those with IEPs, so they should be prioritized, I would say, and it is lacking. The staff who are present would benefit from a refresher on reviewing IEPs and its proper usage so that some of the conflicts can be avoided, particularly during specials and recess at the elementary school my 6-year-old attends. More training is required for staff and teachers as incidents of bullying and fighting are either constant or rising, and the implementation of restorative practices needs to be examined as it doesn't appear to be minimizing these events. I have advocated for kindness campaigns and other different approaches when incidents arise, and when incidents arise with my daughter and other students, as the problem is systemic. More oversight and direction is needed, and that message has fallen flat at the building level. I'm asking the board to step in, hold the buildings accountable, in order to provide what's right for our children. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Johnson. Moving on to the budget parameters, budget goals presentation. Superintendent Groutman.
Yes, this is our first meeting where we will, I'll have actually Mr. Khalili come on up and share with us some budget parameters and goals that will guide us throughout the season. So just as a reminder, we sort of use this as our starting point, and from here on, right through the May vote, we'll be sort of building and sharing with you all along the way all of our steps and processes to get us to bringing forward a responsible budget to our community. So with that, I'll turn it over to Romeo.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. As Kathy mentioned, tonight is the kickoff for our 24-25 budget development process. And with that, we always start our process going back to our strategic plan, our Reach 2027. And we will make certain, as we've done in previous years, that our budget development process will be aligned with the strategic plan commitments of igniting learning, cultivating trust, and expanding opportunity. As decisions are made, we go back to our strategic plan to try to help us make decisions and make sure that whatever decisions are made or whatever adjustments are made in the budget come back to the strategic plan. So for us, it is a key document. So we wanted to touch base this evening a little bit about what we know currently as we're going into this process, and then touch on some parameters as we go forward. A couple bullet points here. Back in the 22-23 budget that was enacted back in April or May of the 23 for the 22 for the 22-23 year. It's a whole 7 months ago. The state had said they are fiscally stable. There are no gaps. Projected revenues were increasing. Healthcare, education, childcare, more were balanced. We're good to go. 7 months later, in October, we start seeing articles and indications that for 2025, they're short $9 billion. And for 2027, they're going to be short somewhere in the neighborhood of $36, $37 billion. A lot of that attributable to some of the events happening downstate with asylum seekers and unplanned expenditures that they've had down there. But yet, again, over this past weekend, on Saturday, look through the paper, and there's an article and an update that it's not $9 billion, it's now $4 billion, and that we should be okay. So kind of the way we read that in our department is nobody really knows where this is going to go come the budget for that the governor is going to put out. We're skeptical, as we should be, and we're conservative, and we will continue to stay that way. And I believe we have a right to be at this point. However, the state does have almost a $20 billion rainy day fund, but just like any other entity, they know they have it, but it's not their answer. They may dip into it to help offset for the short term, but we'll have to see where that goes and how they're going to utilize that for next year. During the 22-23 school year, or their budget, what I found interesting and I included here is part of the reason we got our full foundation aid last year was they reallocated $1.5 billion from housing investments and earmarked that money towards education and healthcare. With what is going on downstate, it just makes me wonder if they're going to have to reappropriate that money to deal with that problem, and at what expense does that come to the education funding going forward. Healthcare, education, and state workforce are the largest portions of the budget for the state. And at this time, it used to be back about 10 years ago, the state aid revenues were about 38, 39% of our budget. They're now 52%. So we are more reliant on that state aid and foundation aid than we have been in the past. So what does that mean for districts as we go into the process? In my mind, same frustrations, same unpredictability. I think they will fund the foundation aid, but I would not be surprised that a line just beneath the fully funding of the foundation aid is something that could be the equivalent of a gap elimination adjustment 2.0 that we saw back in 09, 10, 11, 12, and 13. In my mind, they could say they did fully fund the foundation aid formula and satisfy that requirement, but there's nothing that prohibits them from coming up with another formula that reallocates the deficit amongst all the districts. Pre-pandemic, we were making budget cuts each year to balance the budget. Everybody who's been here a little bit knows that. The past 3 school years were different. We got a $40 million increase in our foundation aid over the last 3 years. Budgets were rather easy. I think those days are over, starting with next year's budget going forward. I think we're going to be in the same process as we were pre-pandemic. We're going to have to look at our revenues, look at our expenditures, and there will be adjustments made within the budget just as it was before, but it will just be now at a higher level. So what's 24-25 look like? As we talked about foundation aid, I'm hopeful we'll get our full funding, or 3%, with no decrease or gap elimination adjustment, but we'll be ready with some other options. We will probably start off with a 3%, plan on 2 and a 1, and probably run a scenario at 0 as well, just so we can be prepared for whatever might be coming out between January and April. Our expense-based aid, that's our building aid, our transportation aid, and that type of thing. We don't expect any changes. We haven't seen anything at this time. Sales tax has remained high even through these inflationary times. Sales tax revenue for us has been higher than budget. We budget conservatively, but how long is that going to last? But we will plan on a moderate amount of sales tax revenue for the district for next year. Property tax cap allowance, at the current time, the last 12 months, CPI has been about 3.7, 3.8%. Estimates are that it'll reach about 4% by the end of December 2023. With the 4%, it's a much better than it was last year, which was about 8.5 or 9%, so it's about half of that, but we will still be capped on our tax cap calculation at 2%. So CPI will be somewhere around 4, we'll still be capped around 2. Major grant funding looks stable at this time. Pilots, which are payments in lieu of taxes, fairly stable. We have 2 pilots coming off the pilots and going back to the tax rolls in the upcoming year. That would be Doodlebugs and LA Fitness. And it seems like we have 1 major pilot coming on the pilot program rather than the tax rolls, and that would be for an organization called Clear Choice. They're building a $6.5 to $10 or $11 million building over on Canal Landing that we're expecting will obtain a pilot and some type of a reduced tax schedule. On the expense side, payroll salaries, our initial rollover that we'll bring to the board in February will be higher than it has been in past years, primarily due to these 2 items. In the current GTA contract, there is a more than average increase in the salaries that were agreed to in the 4-year contract. We have to account for that, and we're going to continue ARP select positions, and we're having discussions about what those are going to be. We currently have about 60 ARP positions out there. We're going to do our initial budget, bring in all those positions over, and then see where we're at. And then, again, some all may stay in, or some may need to be adjusted out. We'll see how that process goes. Healthcare, we will budget at about 8.5%, which is the consortium that we participate in. It's trend for them. It's been about 8, 8.5. Conservatively, we leave it at about that rate because during next year we have to account for July through December and 2024 rates. We don't know what the rates are going to be in January of 24. Therefore, we have to kind of predict what those last 6 months are going to be. Trend seems to be the good number for us to use, so we'll start at about 8.5%. ERS and TRS, we've been notified the ERS contribution rate will be somewhere between 13 and 15.2%. It's currently at 13.1, and TRS is currently at about 9.76. It will be somewhere up to 10.25%. Just a graphical representation of where they've been. The ERS rates right till about 2022, 23 have been trending down. The last couple years, they've been trending up. Same is so with the TRS rates. And just as a note, the ERS rates and TRS rates are 2-year lag to the market. So we're starting to see a little bit of adjustments on that. Contract negotiations, the only one that we are dealing with at the current moment is AGSEP. That contract expires in June of 2024. The other contracts you can see here, Teamsters, all the Teamster units are 25, 26, and the GTA, GUS, and GASA contracts expire in June of 26. Minimum wage is currently at $14.20. It will go to $15 come January of 24. Our initiatives, instructional initiatives, remain the same. We'll continue with the same that we have started 2 or 3 years ago. Utility costs, these have gone a little nuts this year, gas and electric and water. We made adjustments for those in the current year budget coming out of 21, 22. In 23, 24, we already made a significant adjustment in those lines. So going forward, we're going to go with a 5% increase versus something larger. We believe the current budget carries enough in it to keep the budgets basically where they are. Charter schools still remain a significant item for us. We have about 300 kids in charter schools, over 4 charter schools that are within the district. There are 16 charter schools in total. There's 1 charter school that's slated. I think it may have opened, an Innova all-girls school in the city. That won't, I don't think it's impacting us yet, but I would not be surprised if we started to see invoices from that charter school for some of our students who wish to attend that. Again, that budget is somewhere around $3 million a year, maybe 3.2, 3.3 million a year that we spend in charter schools. Our budget targets, we'll plan for the full amount of foundation aid, but we'll prepare for less. The allowable CPI, as we said, will only be 2%. We'll stay within the maximum allowable tax levy for the tax cap, as we've done every year since its inception. We will look at use of reserves to assist with balancing for a year if we need to do that, to maintain some of the strategic items that we want to keep on for a year or longer. We will look at the reserves and see if we can come up with a plan to keep those, use those to keep balance, but yet maintain the appropriate reserve level for future needs. We'll maintain a reasonable budget-to-budget increase, match staffing to enrollment. Again, we'll carry over select, possibly all ARP positions, and wherever we can, we will discuss and implement efficiencies. Budget parameters, again, typical of what we've done each year. We'll budget for the contract steps or the percentage increases in all our contracts. Accordingly, we'll budget increases in payroll and ERS and taxes and such that go along with that. We'll review line item expenses for contingency adjustments as we have in past years. For example, we put in some contingency for healthcare because we don't know how many single people are going to go to a family plan or how many two-person plans are going to go to a family plan. Contribution or contract transportation, always a variable for us. So we leave some monies available that if we have to increase the contract, it does not impact the budget. And the same with students with disabilities. That process takes place at the end of the year with CSEs, and we don't know exactly what is going to happen with those, so we budget contingency funds in the next year's budget to help with that so we don't have to impact other departments within the budget. We'll look for efficiencies in our operations, and we will comply with the property tax cap. And then our typical timeline, we won't need to go through this, but our board meetings are here in chronological order. We'll bring back the rollover to the full board on February 6th, see where we are based on the governor's budget at that point in time. Also in February, we'll bring the tax cap back here, as we do every year, to let the board know how we got there and what that is going to be. Bus replacements, we're talking about now, we'll bring that back to the board for a resolution in March. Board meeting of April 9th will be the superintendent's recommended budget for 24-25. The following week, April 16th, we'll come back and ask the board to adopt the budget along with the property tax report card. By April 26th, the budget book will be available to all residents who request one. We'll do our official public meeting on May 7th, and the budget vote and the board officers' elections will take place on May 21st. Thank you.
Any questions? Vice President Moore?
Romeo, remind me how you keep up with what's going on in Albany. Do you get weekly notices when you said it looks like it's going to be?
About once a week, I just Google recent.
Google's the answer, right?
There are some,
Yeah.
like ASBO, and some of the school business official feeds might hint at it, but probably once a week, once every 10 days, I'll just type in New York State budget news to see if anything has come up that I'm not aware of.
Mr. Maloney?
By any chance, do you foresee any more pilots coming our way as far as next year's budget?
The one that we know about, yes.
Just the one. I heard Apple had bought out Regal Theaters and was going to do something over at the mall.
Yeah.
Are you expecting anything from the mall to
Not that
come?
I'm aware of, but I would not be surprised because there are a variety of other things. I think also in Canal Landing in that park,
Right.
business park
I
that's
see
over
some
there.
building going on
There's
over
some
there.
buildings. De Pasquale Construction is building a
Yeah.
building over there, and I know they've applied for a pilot. It just hasn't come through to us yet. So yes, I would not be surprised currently through next year, if we saw 2 or 3 new pilots, it would not surprise me.
Okay, thank you very much.
Any other questions? Mr. Bonnegario?
Thank you, Romeo. Is there a line item budget that's accessible on the website or?
Yes,
what-
it's the budget book that we print for public, that has the line items, the summaries by function and by object line item detail.
And that's through the website?
It's in the website. You go under departments, business, finance, and then there's budget, and then there's an archive with, I want to say, the last 8 or 10 years.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Mr. Butler?
Thanks, Romeo. The increase in minimum wage, is there any commensurate increase in aid or anything like that that goes along with that?
It would go hand in hand. I mean, so 2 things with minimum wage. I don't think it impacts us now as much as it did in the past because we've budgeted, our salaries now are ahead of minimum wage increases compared to, say, 3 or 4 years ago. 2, the transportation aid, for instance, is based on salaries, but they do cap, salaries, so as the salaries go up and those numbers get submitted for reimbursement, we do get more because the salary went up. Where some of the caps take place are on the benefits. So as minimum wage goes up, theoretically, yes, you should get more aid back from the state. For us, with this increase, it wouldn't be a marked difference because we've already been at a higher salary anyways. When minimum wage changes and we're not changing salaries again with it, we've already got that built into our contract. So as salaries do go up, we do see more aid.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to the budget hearing. I have nobody signed up, so I'm going to close the budget hearing. Moving on to staffing. Can I have somebody move staffing to the table, please? Moved by Mrs. Farmer, second by Dr. Traywick. I'm going to pull number 3 on page 7. So first we'll vote on the full staffing, and then we'll do a second vote on a leave of absence or the one that I pulled. So on staffing, all those in favor? That passes 8-0. And then on page 7, number 3, all those in favor? Those opposed? So it fails. So that one fails, so the person doesn't get it. Moving on to tenure, 3.02. Can I have somebody move that to the table, please? Moved by Mr. Butler, seconded by Mr. Maloney. Comments, questions, concerns on that? Seeing none, all those in favor? That passes 8-0. Moving on to 3.03, GTA Computer Science SOS. Can I have somebody move that to the table, please? Moved by Mr. Maloney, seconded by Ms. Farmer. Any comments, questions, concerns on that? Seeing none, all those in favor? That passes 8-0. Moving on to 3.04, GTA MOA's additional FTEs. Can I have somebody move that to the table, please? Moved by Mrs. Farmer, second by Mr. Butler. Comments, questions, concerns? Seeing none, all those in favor? That passes 8-0. Moving on to 3.05, the Teamster MOA 41J. Can I have somebody move that to the table, please? Moved by Vice President Laura, seconded by Dr. Traywick. Any comments, questions, concerns on that? Seeing none, all those in favor? That passes 8-0. Moving on to 3.06, the GASA MOA retirement. Can I have somebody move that to the table, please? Moved by Mrs. Farah, seconded by Mrs. Farmer. Any comments, questions, concerns on that? Seeing none, all those in favor? That passes 8-0. Moving on to 5.01, student transportation bus patrol. Superintendent Groutman.
Yes, I'd like to start by inviting Ms. Tavia Smith and Mr. Richardson up. Just for a little context, there's a lot that I want to say here, and I want to sort of make some links. We've talked a lot about community schools and some of the changes in mindset that we've had as an organization because of the work that we're doing with community schools. One really good example of that is what happened a few weeks ago when Dave, you scheduled and planned an event here in this building in partnership with Monroe Ambulance in partnership with our local fire departments and with our RTE program. And that was easy to do because there was already relationships and there's already so much work being done with those organizations. But when I came to that presentation in the morning, it was around bus safety. Tavia was here, and I've met, Tavia and I know each other. We do. Yeah. But I have watched you as a student participate in a program, and I've watched you light up and be engaged and just really be connected to your school and community. And it's been really joyful for me and just to know you and to watch you grow in that way. But on that day, on Saturday, a few weeks ago, when you were doing that presentation, you were busy because you had a cross-country meet that day too, so you didn't do the whole presentation, but I was so impressed with the quality of work that was done by you and your team. So when we started to have a conversation around bus safety and bus patrol and a possible thing that we're going to move forward with here in the district, I thought, well, we could stand up and talk about bus safety, and Mr. Richardson could share some things, but I think it makes a whole lot more sense to bring you back because of your engagement, because of your connection to the material, and your passion and work here in Greece. So I say all that to say thank you. Thank you for being here, and I proudly introduce you and Mr. Richardson for the presentation that we're about to get.
Thank you. All right. Let me just get my cards here. All right, so as you know, about 2 weeks ago, some of my RTE classmates and I gave a presentation to the public about bus safety, and I'm just going to share some of the information we told them, and yeah. So the first thing we kind of touched on is the school bus is actually the safest mode of transportation to school. But the problem that we're having is loading and unloading the buses. One of the biggest reports that transportation staff are seeing are people passing reds. And this is illegal in every state, and it's happening way too often. There have been over 1,000 fatalities from school transportation-related incidents, and over 50 have been specific to running red lights. The buses first flash their yellow lights, giving people enough time to stop, so there's really no excuse to not stop for a bus who has their reds on. So, next slide. Like I said, transportation staff are reporting these incidents, and they're seeing people running motorists running their red lights, motorists not using caution with yellows, and seeing unsafe behaviors not only loading and unloading the bus, but at the bus stops. And I'll share a story from my own experience at a bus stop. Back in middle school, I was trying to cross the street with my friend to get to our bus stop, and the car who told my friend to go hit my friend right in front of me. Oh. And it's just insane. And they didn't even stop either. They just kept going. And so I do truly believe this myself, that, people need to be aware of these problems, and it's putting our students at risk. So, also, another thing that we touched on was students being unsafe and not listening to their bus drivers giving them directions to cross. You have to watch your bus driver, and they signal for the student to cross, and some people don't even look, they just cross, and you can't assume that the car sees you, And also, small children getting on and off the buses. The bus is so big that you can't see a small child walking next to the bus. The bus drivers don't know where they are. The bus driver is going to drive away. They could hit the child. And also younger children kind of don't have a great sense of direction. They just kind of move, and that could end their life. So I just wanted to kind of recap. The loading and unloading are the most dangerous areas of a bus, and a lot of the rules need to be revisited a lot more and reinforced. Younger children are more at risk. They don't know traffic laws. They are more trusting of people than an older kid might be, and they're not easy to be seen. And the greatest risk to a child is not riding the school bus, but it's approaching or leaving a bus.
Great job, Tavia. So it leaves us at a possible partnership with Bus Patrol. So Bus Patrol is a third-party vendor that has partnered with Monroe County. And we would be looking to be the 7th district in Monroe County to get on board with this partnership. Should you vote in favor of the resolution later on tonight. This would mean cameras would be installed on the exterior sides of our bus, especially the stop arms, to catch motorists running the reds. Okay? Violations are examined first by Bus Patrol, which again is at third party, partner with Monroe County. If they see a violation, it's sent to Monroe County for a second review, and if they confirm the violation, a citation is mailed, and it's a $250 fine. The district is not listed or liable at all in the citation. Kathy and Sean were able to work with us to make sure that we are not listed in that citation letter. So Bus Patrol actually mailed us or sent us a sample letter that a violator would receive. The nice perk for the district is cameras would also be installed in the interior of the bus for additional support with student behaviors and ensuring our student safety on the inside of the bus as well. Bus Patrol assumes all costs for both interior and exterior installation as well as removal of the cameras. There would be a 30-day window. We would be targeting February. Should the resolution pass tonight, which we hope it does, it would be about a 90-day window to have the cameras installed. Following the installation would be a 30-day public notification to the community to let them know that these cameras are on our buses, and then the actual program would start. The district does not see any of the revenue from the fines collected. Bus Patrol collects 60% of that fine, and Monroe County collects the remaining 40%. So the district is just utilizing our buses to catch the motorists driving through our reds. Like Tavia said, it's happening every day. When I'm out driving, I see it every single day. And it's really putting our student safety at risk. The partnership would go through December 2025 minimally, and it would run through potentially 2027. Yes, questions?
Well, I just want to add,
Yep.
before we go to questions, two things that I think are important. One, I rode a bus. I know you see it because you drive bus, Dave. But I rode a bus with Mr. Lewis, one of your amazing bus drivers. And during a 1-hour run, 4 people blew by the stop arm, just on that one random day. And then secondly, I just want to point out that the program also has the ability to geo-fence out certain areas. So there is some work that can be done to sort of tailor our facilities and things like that so that there's not undue like ticketing and things
Correct.
like that in some spaces where we might want to make sure that it gets
That's correct.
geo-fenced out. So I just want to point that out because I think that's a good quality.
Yep.
Questions?
Other questions? Yes.
Ms. Farmer?
I feel like I need to know more information about the organization that will be looking at these pictures, I guess? Is that what will happen?
Video.
Video will be sent in? And I also see a difference between putting the camera on the outside of the bus versus the inside of the bus. So I don't know if those are questions or if those are comments, but I guess we could, maybe you have more information about the company that would be receiving. Who are they? How do we know what happens with the data, all of that kind of stuff?
Right, so Bus Patrol partnered with Monroe County and Adam Bella's office to come up with this partnership with the Traffic Safety Board with Monroe County to ensure, obviously the target is to decrease motorists traveling through the reds, okay? As an incentive, they're collecting the revenue from the citations, 60% of it. The district is not seeing any of that money. But as an incentive, they are only looking at exterior cameras, all right? But as an incentive to get, for districts to get on board, since they're already there installing cameras on the exterior side of the buses, they're willing to install cameras on the interior of our buses. And our cameras right now are a little bit archaic, and we could use an upgrade in our cameras. So when we look at this partnership, not only does it benefit the safety of our students and our staff, with the statistics that Tavia mentioned earlier, but it also provides us additional support for student behaviors that might be occurring on the bus or disciplinary infractions. But the data is kept with us, the video footage is kept with us, and we work in conjunction with Bus Patrol to support our students. Additionally, Bus Patrol cannot reach out to us to ask our drivers or our staff to contest a ticket or any. The district is not involved with the citation process at all. So those were some questions that I know we had as well. But yeah, the data is kept confidential. It's not sold, for example, to another company or anything like that.
And Bus Patrol gets the other 40%?
Bus Patrol actually gets 60% and the county gets 40%.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Maloney?
The only problem I seem to have is I know that it's a crime to go through the reds, but you're the person that may not be driving that car. It may be registered to somebody else. Somebody else will receive that ticket.
That's
and
correct.
not you.
The citation is mailed to the vehicle owner.
Vehicle owner only.
Yep, that's correct. It's similar to the red light cameras that were in the city of Rochester, where a third party is benefiting, and then it's, when they see a citation or a violation, they partner with the local municipalities to confirm that it is a violation, and then that citation is mailed to the vehicle owner. That's correct.
Vice President Moore?
What will community notification look like?
So the community notification is a letter that is, we would post it on our social media. We would send it out electronically, included in our school newsletters, things like that, that would let people know that these cameras are on the exterior of our buses, on the lookout for motorists running our reds. Should they get a citation in that 30-day window, it's a warning, all right? But after that 30-day window is up, then the citation is real.
Okay, thank you.
Dr. Trawick?
I'm glad that you brought up the red light cameras, because that's the first thing I was thinking about as you were presenting the information. I guess my question would be, thinking along the lines of the red light cameras, they were, the system, the city got rid of it because people weren't paying the fines, so, it was causing undue hardship. They weren't paying them. There was disproportionality. So, what are we doing to make sure, I don't know if it's not us, but what assurances do we have that this is really going to be a deterrent as opposed to, just stacking up tickets for people?
Right, great question. We would be obviously new to this. This is in year 2 and 3 down in Virginia, North Carolina, farther south from us. They are seeing the collection percentage somewhere between 60 and 80%. So to your point, is everybody paying the citation? No. Those citations unpaid could go to a collection agency where someone comes knocking on the door to say, hey, you owe this. But the overall statistic that they're seeing is it's leading to a decrease in people running the reds. And that's the number one thing that we are looking for, because it is happening every day and it is so rampant in our community as well as every community when I talk to other transportation directors. So that's what we're going after. The partnership is still sustainable, that it has been renewed in counties down in North Carolina and Virginia and in and around the Washington DC area, even with a collection rate of 60 to 80%. So, you know, that target of getting people to stop running through the reds is the ultimate goal.
The only thing I would add to that is the red light cams led to such disproportionality also because they were positioned, their locations, they weren't all around. It was in urban areas, very targeted, not in suburban areas, where this is anybody in Greece anywhere could be cited. So I think that there's a bit of a difference in that if they're on our buses, they're not necessarily placed in one community. So I think there's a little bit of a difference. I do worry, though, particularly just around, you know, some of our needier families and what that impact would be, for sure. And that's something that we could obviously pay attention to.
Yeah, and this partnership is within Monroe County, does not apply to the geographical boundaries for the city of Rochester. So when our buses go into the city of Rochester, the camera's almost like turned off in a sense, because the city of Rochester is a different entity that needs approval with bus patrol in New York State. So just like the bus, once it crosses county lines, if we went out for a sports trip somewhere in Orleans County, once we hit the county line, any violations outside of Monroe County would not be applicable.
Mr. Bonagario?
Two questions that relate to that. And the letter that's sent out, is that sent out to all resident addresses, or is it just to district families, you know, families of students?
Ideally, it should go out to the entire community. How we do that, we have the wiggle room to do that. That would be something I'd want to discuss with Ms. Groutman and Cabinet. Yeah.
And then what you just described with the system being turned off, say if it goes into the city, does this apply in bringing kids, driving them through other towns? Does it?
Yes, it does. So if a bus, we go over to BOCES 1 in Fairport, it applies there. It would apply anywhere that is outside of the city of Rochester, but still inside Monroe County, unless it's an area, as Ms. Groutman said, that we geo-fenced out. So if we geo-fence out Olympia's campus, for example, there would be no citations on the Olympia campus. Yeah, we have the ability to geo-fence out any areas that we choose to do so.
Mr. Butler?
Thanks, and thanks for the presentation, Mr. Richardson. Two questions, or one question and a comment. So the question is, if you could remind me what you said the duration of this initial contract is, and when we'd be able to get out of it if we wanted to?
Sure. So the duration of the contract is 3 years, and it started in December of '22, so it would run through December of '25, with the potential of 2 one-year extensions. So it could go through December of '26, and ultimately, the farthest could go is December of 2027.
So if we didn't like the way it was going, the earliest we'd be able to get out of it would be December of 2025?
No, we would have the ability to pull out, and that's written in the agreement that you got in your packet. Yep, on page 3. We would have the ability to back out at full expense by bus patrol with the removal of the cameras.
Okay. And my suggestion is, we have considerable communications resources within the district and a large audience, and I think it would behoove us not to rely entirely on this mailing campaign, and I think we ought to incorporate that into some of our social media and our newsletter. Why not have a little ad campaign in each one of our newsletters that we're sending out to the community just about the bus safety thing, not so much about worry about getting a ticket, although that might cause people to pay attention to it, but use our communication resources to educate community members about bus safety.
Absolutely.
So, thank you.
Any other questions? Mr. Bonagura?
Can you provide just a little more understanding of the geofencing, and like you gave the example of Olympia. Why that example? Where might it be used?
Sure. So many of our campuses, especially our elementary schools, around arrival and dismissal, it is very, very tight. We have lots of student riders from their families, so it's very, very tight getting cars in and out. And a bus may come to a stop. We unload and load all of our students door side. We do not have students crossing in front of buses on any of our 18 campuses. So we also have buses at night that are picking up the soccer team from an athletic event, as well as everyone who was in attendance from that game is leaving, and they may go alongside the bus without realizing they're going alongside the bus at 10 o'clock at night. So, you know, we have the ability to say, we do not want violations in this geographical area, and literally we take a map, a digital map of Monroe County, and draw perhaps the campus of Olympia, so there will be no citations on the Olympia campus. Or we could do that for all 18 of our campuses. I just used Olympia as an example. So, as Ms. Groutman alluded to, we have just a ton going on in a very small window of time at arrival and dismissal, and it may not be advantageous to be, you know, having citations on our campus where we are upsetting our parents and our staff members and our students because it wasn't intentional, or maybe the person's just crawling at 2 miles an hour, but they're going through the reds, but they're also trying to leave the campus.
Do the red lights mean something different in those situations?
The red lights don't mean something different, but the congestion is significant at all of our campuses at arrival and dismissal. So does it happen? Yes, frequently. I wouldn't say not so much, but it is a challenge each day.
A different example would be areas of Ridge Road where there's a median. So by law, you're supposed to stop if the median is a certain amount of feet. And there's places where that's a little bit tricky in terms of, do people even know who are coming maybe the other direction that they're supposed to stop? And quite frankly, they don't stop because there's a median in the middle of the road. So like if 5 foot is the legal limit, we might say, give some latitude there because we know that that's not an area where people ever even stop. But by the regs, they would all be getting tickets. So there's some weird situations and areas where I think that we would just want that ability to like either consider it or think about it. And again, we have not gotten to that level of detail, but the fact that it's available,
Right.
We could consider unique situations
And we have
or
the
physical
ability to adjust
locations.
that at any time as well.
Dr. Haywick?
So, along those lines, do we have data to show, like, do we know where the areas are where we have like our frequent offenders, the people? Are there certain areas where we see people kind of flying through certain?
So I will say that it's soft data. On our secondary roads, it's not as prevalent. On our main roads, especially Dewey, Latta, Long Pond, Mount Reed, it's every day. Multiple times per bus per day. And also multiple times per stop. It's that prevalent and it's that concerning. It's concerning to the point where we are actually not looking to, we're adding more roads to our routing team of a self-designation of do not cross. That's concerning. So when we're adding more roads within our routing team, because we're seeing people run the reds, we are adding time to runs. And with our bus driver shortage, that's contradictory to being efficient, because we obviously are putting student safety first and foremost, but with a driver shortage, we are essentially at times adding times to runs. So we're hoping that the cameras will catch our motorists and we will see a decrease in the percentage of motorists running our reds.
And you mentioned that our district is the first in this area to do.
Seventh, we would be the
The
seventh.
seventh?
So Hilton just,
okay.
I believe they're in their final week of their 30-day notification. So Hilton was first, so Hilton's ready to go live, and we would be the seventh. So Spencer Port's already on board, Webster, Bosse's one, East Arundecoit as well. We would be number 7. Yep.
Anything else? Mrs. Farmer?
Dave, is there, so Todd asked about outcome. How long will things go before we take a look and see whether it's making sense, whether it's working, whether it's any of that stuff?
Sure. So I would say that aggressively, if we passed a resolution here tonight, we would not be looking at implementation probably until March, April. We have 220 buses to install cameras. That's not a small fleet by any means. It takes 4 to 5 hours for bus patrol to install the cameras on one bus. So do the math, they need quite the implementation team. So realistically, maybe April, May, and June, we're starting this. And it would run over the summer. It wouldn't cease for the summer. I'd want to be on board for probably another year. So we're talking, June of 25, just to see how well it goes, as well as it might cease in December of 2025, should it not be approved at the county level. So, but I'd want to give it a good year. I can tell you the research that I've done. Districts are giving Bus Patrol high praise for the customer service, for the confidentiality and the privacy, but also for the maintenance and upkeep of the hardware and the cameras on our buses. So they've provided excellent customer service, as well as the partnership with local counties and municipalities has also been strong. So the reviews of this partnership throughout the state, both Suffolk and Norfolk counties, or Nassau counties on Long Island have it. Almost every district on Long Island has it, and the reviews are quite favorable because it comes down to student safety. So I can tell you I wouldn't be here today if I didn't feel confident about this program based on what I've heard from my colleagues throughout the state.
Any other questions, comments?
Can I just say one thing?
Sure.
Octavia, you're a natural-born public speaker.
Yeah.
Mrs. Farah?
Just a quick question. What's the town participation in all of this, since the town is usually the one with the police force saying, no, we obviously can't drive a police car behind every bus, but what has been their take in all of this with partnering with us, with the bus?
So when we reached out, former Security Director Chatterton and I reached out to Greece Police, and they were unwilling to be a part of this initiative early on because it requires manpower to review the citations to confirm that it indeed is a violation and for that citation to be mailed. So right now, with this partnership, it's through the county. Okay, so the county's reviewing that violation. But where the local municipalities and the local town courts come in is if the vehicle owner wants to challenge the citation, they take it up with the local municipality or the local town court where the violation occurred.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Anything else? Thank you.
Thank you.
Nice job.
Good job, kiddo.
Item 5.02, course offerings guide, Superintendent Krautman.
Yes, I would invite Dr. Colicchio to come on up and share with us our course offering guide. As many of you know, comes here to the board every year. This is a document that we take a great deal of pride in, that I know Dr. Colicchio works with an extensive committee and through multiple meetings. So I appreciate the hard work that's gone into this and really proud of the vast offerings that we're able to offer in Greece. Unique, really, to the county and really the state, honestly, in terms of all that we have in here. So thank you, Dr. Colicchio, for your preparation.
Thank you. And I'm really excited because the course offering guide, I feel, is representative of all that we believe in Greece.
and all the uniqueness in the programs like Tavia spoke of tonight. So thank you for being here. So again, like Superintendent Groutman said, this is not my vision alone. It's an endeavor of our entire Department of Curriculum and Instruction, and it's meeting after meeting, and I think version 9 is in front of you, which I think is 2 less than we've done in the past, so we're kind of proud of that. And the book is also representative of obviously our strategic plan goals and our commitment to ignite learning. Absolutely no one gets excited to learn about content they are not interested in, and we work collectively as a Department of Curriculum and Instruction to offer courses to our students that not only meet state requirements, but also ignite a desire for our students to learn more, while also teaching them to be fantastic human beings along the way. It's also in alignment with the New York State Culturally Responsive Sustaining Education Framework. And especially tonight, I'm going to highlight 2 of the aspects of this in high expectations and rigorous instruction. We're up to 74 dual enrollment courses. That means courses where students are involved in both high school and college credit simultaneously. That's up from 66 last year. And many of these courses are free for our free and reduced lunch students. Again, we continue to support our seal of biliteracy, our career and technical education endorsements, and hopefully an associate's degree for some of our students in the early college high school program at Olympia. Now, there's many reasons why we have changes from year to year. Sometimes it's New York State changes the course titles and the content, which you're seeing with some of our Common Core courses. A creation, adjustment, or deletion to our career pathways as student interests change, as career paths change, so do our course enrollments. This year, many of our dual enrollment course increases were due to colleges coming along the way and offering more courses than they have in the past. Student voice always drives our decision-making. Where there's either little or no enrollment, we remove courses. If students indicate a high interest area, we add courses. And we also look at student success within the course. If students are spending time in our courses, we want them to be successful, and if that's not the case, we look at whether or not that's the best fit for them. We have done a really incredible job of creating college and career exploration courses while students are in high school. So in other words, before parents are sending their students off to take either career and tech courses in non-college programs or going off to college, they get a taste of what these courses are like. So hopefully we don't see as many students changing their careers and their majors after parents have invested thousands of dollars. We look at budgetary limitations in terms of what courses we can offer and what our low enrollment is. And I have to say with sadness, for the first time in my 30-something years in education, teacher availability is now becoming a concern, where we may be offering some courses this year in this book where we cannot find teachers who are appropriately certified to teach them. So that's a change, a little bit of a change in why we may need to make changes at a later time and date as well to our offerings. New specifically for 24-25, it still seems a little weird saying it, but Romeo helped out with his budget presentation this evening. We've done a better job of describing our English as a New Language programs within the book, as Shauna has worked with us closely on. We've also done a little bit more to expand a High School Leader in Me program, to continue with the great work that Dr. Payne has done with our elementary schools, and it's now moving up into our high schools. Our career pathway courses are now better aligned with New York State Career and Technical Education with our work with Corey Skinner. And again, as I mentioned, our dual enrollment possibilities have increased with college partnerships, as well as our BOCES WMOCO students. WMOCO has also added courses, as Superintendent Antonacci spoke of this evening. So how do dual enrollment and AP courses benefit your child? I mentioned this briefly. It helps prepare our students for the academic challenges they will face in college. I know as a parent of students, a current senior and a current recent grad, I hear a lot from parents about their child going to college and not really being ready for the rigor. Greece does a wonderful job of preparing them for that, so they're not as shocked when they get to college. We also make sure that
when students have success with college content, whether it's in high school or beyond, but when they have that success in high school, they enter college feeling like, okay, I can do this. It wasn't easy. I did it in high school. I should be able to transfer that in college. You always want students to enter the college setting not feeling intimidated. Dual enrollment courses cost a fraction of what the same course will cost in college, which is an incredible benefit to families. And like I said, it gives students the opportunity to try out courses and see what their level of interest is before actually paying the full price or engaging in a program that limits them in some capacity. So this year, this guide highlights 101 college credit eligible courses, 74 here within Greece Central, and WMOCO is up to offering 27 of the course offerings that our students who are WMOCO students get to benefit from that dual enrollment opportunity. New courses for 23-24 are in culinary arts, kitchen and restaurant management. We're doing a machining and machine theory course, which is fantastic, and some computer-aided design and drafting courses. We continue to have dual enrollment partnerships with Roberts Wesleyan, Niagara University, Brockport, MCC, and GCC. This course breaks it down by content area. I know I prepare myself for Ms. Malore's questions about the business department, and I gotta say, I was really proud to say that as you being the proud pioneer of our business department, we're up to 10 courses within business that are dual enrollment. Now, and again, most of these courses, when you look at them, 10 courses means at approximately 3 credit hours a course, that's 30 course hours that a student could possibly complete in Greece. Now, that's tough to do, granted, but you can see there's a wide variety of offerings. And the early college high school specific offers some things in preparing to be a college student and philosophy that don't necessarily fall within any specific department. But you can see each course is well represented, each department is well represented in our book. So I'm going to quickly go over the career pathways. And these courses, students are working towards getting a CTE credential, a college and technical education, career and technical education credential that goes right on their diploma for some of these. And they're also getting that relevant experience that can either be taken over in college or if they enter the workforce or some type of trade school. So the administrative assistant pathway, which was built actually out of our need to find quality administrative assistants within our school district. Business administration, which is taught at all 4 of our high schools. Computer programming. And again, when it's taught specifically at a school, we do that for teacher certification reasons, but our students from all 4 of our high schools are allowed to attend. Computer programming, culinary hospitality, education, pre-engineering, and responding to emergencies, which we heard a little bit about this evening as well. New courses for 24-25 are in the business administration and education pathway. These were courses that were changed a bit to meet that CTE qualification so that the students could get the endorsements. We talked a little bit about, as I mentioned in the ENL section, literacy foundations for SIFE students. These are students that are coming in from other countries, and this may be their first exposure to actual print, so they require a little bit different curriculum than, say, some of our other students. Introduction to mental health professions. Again, this was part of our education pathway to meet the needs of students there so they could get the endorsement. And Student Leadership 1 and Student Leadership 2, they are in that other department. This is the Leader in Me program that's teaching our students how to be effective leaders within their communities. So there's a lot of things that happen between now and January 12th, which is when the student course selection sheets are done. In early November, we will be sending out letters to parents sharing the course selection process, information regarding our concerns about being able to staff some of our courses, as well as giving them access to an electronic access to the course offering guide, which you can tell is pretty big. We can't print all these and send them home, so we will send them an electronic version. In the week of November 13th, schools will hold course fairs for students. We found them to be a very effective tool where they may walk around the cafeteria and they may have students who are taking some of these electives who they can ask the students questions regarding the courses. My favorite parent night of the year is the dual enrollment course offering parent night. Corey Skinner will be conducting that on Thursday, November 30th at the GPAC. That's when he goes over in more detail, everything that is within this guide. And then student course selections are due on Friday, January 12th. Again, that is in alignment with our budget process because we use student voice as a tool to figure out what we need for staffing moving forward so that Mr. Kalili can move ahead and build an effective budget for us. Just a couple points to share. Our College and Career and Civic Readiness Index, I need to share it up here because, again, it never seems to make the newspaper. But it is one of the ESSA criteria measured by the state, and every year we get the highest score possible. We expected a little bit of a dip last year in our College and Career Readiness Index because when students came back from COVID, some were not ready and to be enrolled in as many electives as they were before. But even with that, we still beat our pre-COVID metric in that. And this is a metric that shows for all students. Again, this is why I love it. It looks at from our most disabled students to our students going on and getting early college, high school credits, college credits. It shows that we are really committed to igniting learning and make sure that all students get rigorous curriculum in front of them. So I'm very proud of that. Any questions?
Mr. Bonagro?
Thank you, Dr. Colicchio. For the week of November 13th, gosh, is that?
It's coming right
Wow.
up. Mr. Kalili does not let us rest. We get right on it.
I assume that's during the school day. Is there an opportunity for parents to participate in any of that?
Yeah, they get a more in-depth session that happens on November 30th. That's the parent night, where they come and they go over, there'll be students there, parents there, the teachers in the program are there.
That's not just limited to the dual enrollment, that's all of our
That's the
courses
course
as well?
offering guide,
Okay.
everything in the course offering
Okay, I
guide.
misunderstood that, thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Mr. Butler? Then I'll come back to you, Mark.
So, I'm so proud that our district has all these opportunities for students. And one thing I wonder is if you have a sense, this just occurred to me while you were presenting, of like kind of the success rate of that. Because it's one thing to take an AP class, it's another thing to get a 3 or better on an AP
Absolutely.
exam. And I know that's not an easy thing to do at all. And I think, I've heard different things around the actual percentage of students who get a AP credit after taking an AP class being relatively low. So I wonder what your take is on that.
Well, a couple of things. Research actually says agreed, right? And as a parent, we juggle with that. But research shows that students who are enrolled in an AP class, it does build their self-esteem even if they don't receive it. We've done a lot of creative work. We have a couple courses in physics where we offer both the dual enrollment credit and the AP credit, which I love. To me, it's like an insurance policy. In colleges, it's very interesting. They're not as generous with AP credit anymore.
Yeah.
Because they're large private institutions, you got it, are looking for the money and they don't necessarily recognize it. But the dual enrollment work that we have done is truly amazing. And our commitment with MCC is really powerful in the sense, if you receive a dual enrollment credit from MCC, a public state, New York State university must accept it for credit.
Yeah.
So if you pass here, you pass there, which doesn't necessarily happen for AP. So you see a little bit of a shift now towards more parents and more students preferring the dual enrollment possibility because there's actually a better guarantee for them that they will actually receive the credit.
Thank you.
Go ahead. Thank you. A question regarding the prerequisite removal. My experience with prerequisites is there's cumulative knowledge, and you need the base knowledge to go on to the second class. So is there some means of students showing competency to go into a higher level class, or is there something different going on there?
No, it's just the fact that our students, we used to think that, and we found that prerequisites were a way to sort and select students. So when you remove the barriers, a perfect example is the SATs. My son is applying for colleges and none of them have required SATs because that was a prerequisite to sort and select. So by removing, they weren't needed for students to be successful,
And we have arranged our schools and our academic programs in a way that a student, no matter who they are, can get support and what they need to be successful within that program. So prerequisites, other than taking the course that goes in order, are not needed. And you see that colleges have removed that as well.
Remove the prerequisites where classes go in
That you
order,
don't
or-
need a certain percentage or score or to move on. That you used to see a lot of that, or a certain score on a certain assessment. Well, now the assessments are optional, or they received E's on them. So again, they've found that they haven't been necessarily a predictor of future success. So the need for prerequisites has been diminished.
Thank you.
Any other questions? I just have one. Just, it's a clarifying question, I guess. With the dual enrollment, a private college still doesn't have to accept the credit. I mean, the MCC credit has, state schools or CUNY schools have to accept it.
Absolutely.
But if you get a dual enrollment from Niagara University, there's nothing to say that another school is gonna take that
Correct.
credit. Okay. I
Correct.
just wanna make sure that
Yeah,
was.
unfortunately, yes.
Okay.
And as they need more money with lower enrollment, it's getting tougher.
Exactly. All right, thank you very much. And I'm gonna apologize to you guys. We're gonna take a 5-minute break, if you're okay with that. Okay, I apologize. Board, we're gonna take a 5-minute break. We're gonna be right back at 8. I mean, you could say no if you want. I'll let you. everybody back to our Board of Education meeting. Our next up is 5.03, the Special Education Annual Update. Superintendent Groutman.
Yeah, so you can see we have an amazing team here. We do an annual update for the Board of Education, and similar to the course offering guide, they hit at the same time every year. And again, one of the things in Greece that we're really proud of is the vast offerings that we have in terms of program and supports and services for our students. So our intent, as a Board of Education, you got a lengthy report, but we also have a presentation to highlight some of this and allow you to ask any questions and sort of see the current state of special ed and the incredible work that this team does. So I will say probably the most complicated and difficult department in any school district is the special education department. It is difficult because not everybody sees students exactly the same way. And that can be difficult. And it also can be very emotional. But recognizing that it's sensitive work, I really believe strongly that we have an incredible team who works really, really well with parents, with the student at the center in terms of all decision making. So I appreciate that. And I'm proud of the work that you do and all that we have to offer. So Stacy, I would introduce you and just recognize the team for being here and for hanging in there on a long night. Oh, I'm sorry, Melanie too.
All good? Thank you.
I apologize.
So good evening, everybody. My name is Stacy Brindisi. I'm the Executive Director of Pupil Services here in Greece, and with me tonight is Melanie Stevenson, who is the Director of Pupil Services. And we're extremely grateful for the opportunity to be able to get in front of you tonight for a few minutes to share information and highlights regarding special education programming here in Greece. So as Kathy said, each of you received a lengthy report with a lot of information included. Tonight, we're just going to be presenting some highlights. So if there's any remaining questions, you can feel free to contact me or Melanie, and we'll set up a time to meet to further discuss. I know there was a lot of data included within the report. So without further ado, I'm just going to introduce my team members really quickly, just so that you can put a face to the name. In the front row is Emily Garino, Jessica Matukowicz next to her, Brian Kurtzel behind, Emily Lathers, Lori Ruggieri, and Sue Ellen Stacy. So the 8 of us combined with 1 part-time retired administrator and 6 full-time clerical staff support the oversight and management of an extensive continuum within Greece and beyond, outside of the district as well. And there's some assigned buildings for your reference too. So what is that continuum of services that we offer? As Superintendent Groutman shared, it's extensive. And I've mentioned it every year. I'll continue to mention it. I cannot overstate it enough that our continuum of services is unlike any other in the county, with the exception of the city school district. There are really no similar districts offering the extensive continuum that we offer. You'll see the visual representation from least restrictive to most restrictive on this visual, but what really sets us apart and makes us unique is that sort of upper quadrant of the specialized programming. We offer really more intense and more of it as far as capacity than BOCES 2 offers across all of their districts. In addition, another thing that kind of sets us apart from the rest is not only the types of programming, but the prevalence of programming. So almost all of our buildings have programming available for students so that they don't have to move in between schools. Not all of our specialized programming, but the vast majority of our programming is. So who provides those services? Our special education service providers. I also cannot state this enough that this is also very unique. Service providers who support our comprehensive continuum typically are not employees of a district to have this many specialized staff. All of the employees you'll see in this chart are Greece Central employees, with the exception of a transition specialist that works with us from BOCES 2. And these service providers, in addition to our programs that you have supported, Superintendent's Cabinet has supported, are responsible for educating almost 90% of Greece students with disabilities, which is really, really significant considering we have over 1,600 students with disabilities. So a little bit more about enrollment, just to share a couple of different highlights to give you more of a perspective of sort of where our numbers fall and what the work is that we do. So our overall enrollment is listed in that third column for the current school year. You're going to see that there has been minimal fluctuation in that first number, 1413 compared to last year at 1414. That represents the number of students with disabilities enrolled in one of our 18 in-district schools. That's our primary work that most of us support as part of our job. Out of district, that 105 number is the responsibility of Emily Lathers, and those are students who are CSE placed and out-of-district public and private approved placements. So all students that are recommended by the CSE that we're unable to program for, that have really exhausted our continuum and we've been unable to really make the progress that we're hoping for, those are the students that are referred out of district. The next category of students we support is parentally placed within district. They're district residents. There are 3 district residents that we support in this category. One are students who are homeschooled. That's a parental choice, and that's considered a placement. We have to provide special ed services. And you'll see the number has gone up from 49 to 70. So each of these categories has increased. 2 of the 3 have increased. So homeschool has gone up. Last year was 23 students with disabilities. Now it's 29. Within this category is also Greece residents attending Greece private schools. So these are our residents going to one of our privates, Greece Christian, St. Lawrence. They're our own students. We educate them. There were 9 last year. There's 9 this year. The number that has gone up, similar to what Romeo shared, is our charter students. So we have 32 students with disabilities in charter schools this year, where last year we only had 16. So it's doubled. Our part-time coordinator supports all of those programs for those parentally placed students. Last category is our parentally placed non-district residents, and these are really students who do not live in Greece, but we're still responsible for coordinating and delivering services, developing the IEP, and chairing the meeting. These are primarily students who are in attendance at Deracatora, but there are some other non-resident students that attend Greece Christian and St. Lawrence. This visual just really represents sort of that consistency over time within our district, and that we're really hovering about 14%. You'll see in my report that the state sets a target of 12.5%. You know, we have a lot of variables that impact our classification rate within Greece, right? We have a lot of transiency. We have kids moving in. Last year, we had a net add. We had 232 kids with IEPs coming in, and only 156 transferring out. We had 181 new referrals to the CSE, and 113 of them were determined eligible. So over the course of the year, our continuum is able to support the capacity of 200 unplanned for students, essentially, every year. And that's because of the support services and resources that we've been approved to have in our schools, which allows our kids to stay within one of our district schools. So I am going to turn it over to Mel to share a little bit more about our distribution of classification rates.
All right, so you can see from this slide that the distribution of classifications is relatively similar to previous years. I think last year highlighted some of the higher percentages with regard to the other health impairment and learning disability, as well as speech or language impairment. This slide really illustrates that integrated co-teaching continues to be our primary service delivery model. That model is available in most of our buildings across the district. In terms of our special class programming, we have about 38% of our students that are in special class programs, which is similar to previous years, but it just illustrates that we have a continued need for those special classes in district that serve our students with higher levels of need. We continue to try to evenly distribute our programs across different buildings, but we do run into some issues with regard to spacing, particularly at Patty Hill and Brookside, which is why those numbers are quite a bit lower. Likewise, at our secondary buildings, again, even distribution across all buildings, really showing that we have programming that's supportive of all of our students across the board at the secondary level. This is the best slide of the whole presentation.
These are some of our most favorite students, and the student with the basket is Chaden, and he is the one that got the extra ice cream from Lugia's over the summer. And he is our favorite popcorn delivery person, for sure. So in terms of our department priority areas, that first link under consistency is the special education handbook. We link that every year because it is really our most important resource for our staff. All of our processes, procedures, forms, information, guidance is housed there, and we update it on a regular basis so that our staff has the most up-to-date and current information. Another great resource that's linked, the GCSD Continuum of Special Education Services document. This came out of the work with the Special Education GTA Committee, where we really dug deep in terms of what is our continuum of service in Greece, who are the student profiles that would fit into each program, what are their particular resources or professional development or unique things that would go along with each of those programs. And it has really helped ground us in some common understanding, and it has made some more difficult decisions and conversations at CSE that much better because people have a greater level of understanding of the continuum and the different programs that we consider at CSE. So the CSE processes and procedures is our third bullet on there, and obviously we're always continuously refining those, but our main focus continues to be on student outcomes and our student achievement results. You can see that literacy is a focus for our department as well here. Our special ed teachers are participating in the training as part of the ARC core curriculum. We've really supported essentially any and all special ed teachers in receiving the Orton-Gillingham training, which is a specific training for decoding and phonemic awareness in particular. And we've also trained staff at Lakeshore in the Sunday system, which is based on the work of Orton-Gillingham. Our special education TOSAs are continuing to support professional learning this year, and you can see that there are some books included that are part of a book study that they are hosting. We also continue to partner with an instructional support specialist from BOCES 2 who provides direct support and professional learning to our special education TOSAs as well as our special education staff. I think really just of note on this slide, we're continuing the work in terms of the SEL and student behavior support. We have a continued focus on our declassification rate because those numbers continue to be pretty low. You can see we classify quite a few students, but we are not declassifying nearly as many. In terms of the indicator 8, parent involvement, that last bullet, that is really seeking parent feedback regarding their level of involvement and decision-making at CSE. The information will be really helpful for us, in particular with collaboration with SEPTA, the special ed PTA, which I'll talk about more in a minute. Just going to turn this back over to Stacy.
Okay, so this is our strategic plan commitment that we have been focusing on. We began last year and we're really focusing this year, and it's really, really a priority area for our team. So last year, we set a goal of wanting to increase the number of students who are enrolled in special classes who had the opportunity to integrate and be included in any general education setting. We had last year, so our cohort that we measured, we took K-5 special class students, so students that were not integrated as a part of their program. And at the elementary level, their IEP says 5 hours daily. So there weren't inherent opportunities built in for integration like there is at the secondary level. We established that cohort. There were 229 of those students, K-5, enrolled in a special class last year. And we were alarmed and disappointed with our data in that only 96 of them, less than half, about 42% were integrated, and only 7 students were integrated for an academic area. All of the rest were integrated for another portion of the day, which is good, and it's a start, but it's about really pushing it and making sure that we are helping our kids achieve better, and oftentimes that they are able to do that when they're in a gen ed environment with those non-disabled peers who are modeling some of that. So we're really trying to push. Our goal for this year is to increase our percentage from 42 to 47%. We've talked about that at our principal PLC. You know, I see Kelly here. I know there's team members that have been here, and we all agree that we can do better. So our goal is to increase that by 5% for the upcoming, or for this current school year. And Mel's going to talk about our last commitment.
All right, so in terms of the Special Education Parent-Teacher Association, we collaborate with the SEPTA chair on a regular basis to plan the meetings and the areas of focus for the year. This year, we're pretty excited because we've come up with kind of a variety of formats in terms of virtual meetings, in-person meetings, and then also just some coffee hours for parents. We've also collaborated on topics and presenters. We are willing, as a PPS department, to share information and have conversations with parents as part of SEPTA at any point in time, and we've shared that with them. And as far as how we'll measure our success, that's always a question. We're hoping to really see an increase in participation this year. Our first meeting had a few more parents, so we're really hopeful and optimistic. Sometimes when participation in a committee like this is low, you may assume that people are satisfied, which could be true, but we really want to make sure that we get more information on how we can strengthen our partnership with parents, because they are a really important and valuable part of their child's educational team and important in that CSE process in terms of coming up with the best recommendations for their child.
Questions? Mr. Butler?
So in the detailed plan document that you sent, thank you for the presentation, by the way, it's very informative, I appreciate it. One of the things that was talked about in there, and you mentioned New York State has a target classification rate for school districts of 12.5% or less, so that's sort of the cap. And in that same paragraph in the document, it talks about our percentage being 16.3% of total enrollment, which is a fairly good-sized difference in terms of the number of students we're talking about. I wonder if you have any speculation as to why our numbers are as much above that state target as they are. Is it because we have so many services, people come here if they've got a child that has, that they think might have special education needs?
I mean, I don't like to toot my own horn, but we will toot our horn a little bit that, parents contact us. We have calls pretty much weekly regarding programs we have available in Greece and parents requesting information. The reason for that is oftentimes parents who are residents of other smaller districts, their children are not able to attend neighborhood schools. They have to be bused to BOCES or Crestwood or a different placement. And our students with significant disabilities who require specialized programming are those that should not be on the bus for that long. So it makes it a real difficult sort of scenario for a lot of families. I would say two things. One, our classification rate within district for all the work that we're responsible for and overseeing has remained consistent at about 14.5%, which is really similar to my colleagues. So Mel last year was or 2 years ago was in Rush Henrietta. She checked just this week. They're at 14.7%. My colleague in Gates Chili, who's the most similar to us in Monroe County, he's hovering about 13 or 13.5% or so. So we're all in the same boat. I would say that we have a high transiency rate. So we have a lot of kids coming in and out, and it impacts, and it's always a net add. We always have more kids that are coming in. So much so that we seek approval from the state ed department to calculate some of our test scores differently from our most significantly disabled kids because we have so many. We have group homes, we have extensive programming, and we're afforded that opportunity. So I would say that all contributes to that overall rate staying pretty high. And also our area for growth is declassification. We tend to surround with support and sometimes enable because we're nervous or it feels good to nurture and support, but it's not helping our students with some of their outcomes and independence as they exit. So that's an area for us to exit kids versus continuing to add.
If I can just thank you for that answer, and I appreciate the spirit with which you've been talking about this today, because you talked about the data that you saw being really alarming and it triggering some changes, and so I like the attitude of, either we win or we learn, and I appreciate your transparency on these things, so thank you.
Dr. Haywick?
Hi. You know, I love this department. I love all the departments. But I just love to see you all growing just because our population continues to grow and change. Just to go back to the question around the state, I was also thinking around those same lines. And to correct me if I'm wrong, I just want to make sure this is a clear thought. So the state has the number at around 12%, but yet districts are hovering 13, 14 higher. And so my thought is that maybe the state is trying to keep it at that number because of, even though they know that it's not realistic, but because they're trying to deal with the issue of this overclassification of students with disabilities. And like you said, you know, for many reasons, one being, you know, our philosophy, wanting to just kind of envelope the student with services. But is that a correct, you know, hypothesis, if you will, that the state is really wanting us to kind of lower that number or targeting a smaller number because of overclassification?
I think it's that. I think it's a variety of things. I think that we have seen across the state and the country that we don't have the outcomes that we want for students with disabilities who are classified or who are receiving services throughout their education. We're not seeing the same outcomes as general ed peers. That's a charge for us to do better in our programming. It's also really important to make sure that we're enforcing the procedures that we have to as far as kids who require special education. So we, oftentimes when there are sort of it could go either way and a kid needs help, we're gonna classify the kid, right? That's our philosophy here. That has been what Superintendent Groutman supports. And there are some things that we could do differently to push back on the general education perspective sometimes. So I think it's keeping us in line to, one, know that we shouldn't be overclassifying kids, that there's other solutions, but also to really kind of monitor our pre-referral interventions and make sure that we're having some outcomes for our kids so that doesn't get there. So I think it's holding both systems accountable, if that makes sense.
Follow-up?
Thank you for that answer. I appreciate that. My other question is, what do we have in place once the students have aged out of our system or graduated, if you will? What's the next step for them? How do we support them moving forward?
So you're going to hear some more information in the months to come regarding the state's initiative to keep kids in school for a little bit longer because our adult agencies are not prepared to receive them. So the pandemic has sort of created this effect where we have kids that are requiring service and the agencies just aren't prepared. And like schools, they also have a staffing shortage. So there are limited enrollment spots. So what is going to come very shortly, and the federal government has already supported, and the state will too, is increasing the FAPE, free and appropriate public education. It used to be at 21 years old, and now it's going to be at 22, beginning for our current students this year. Having said that, it's on us because upon exit, we have partnerships during that exit year where we invite community agencies, and we have building up to that time where we help families access. But we really have to get in earlier because we're doing some of that in high school, and there are opportunities to build some of those vocational skills earlier that will help our students to be more prepared and desirable to take, right? And also, our programs do impact some of our eligibility for kids. If I'm in a group home and Melanie's, you know, up for a spot and I'm up for a spot and I have to have a one-to-one, Melanie's gonna get the spot, right? So how are we preparing our kids in school while we have that sort of safe haven to really kind of set them up for success? Because it's limited opportunities upon exit for our kids.
Thank you. Any other questions? Mr. Bonagario?
Thank you. There's a ton of information here, and probably we could go on for hours having conversation about it. I've got I'll start with one question first. I've got another. So with all that you covered, and we're already at an elevated percentage relative to state targets, does that put an internal pressure on us of any sort, whether it's to contain costs or just to meet state targets, to not do evaluations or, you know, maybe let things, I know we don't let things slide, but what do we do? What do we do to make sure that we're being attentive to student needs and doing evaluations where they're needed and working with parents?
Yeah, so we don't have the option to deny any family the request for an evaluation. Any parent can refer their student or their child. Other agencies can request. A physician's office may notify us and say, I'm requesting that you evaluate Melanie. And we say, thank you kindly for that request. We'll talk about as a school what we're doing, and then we can share information about how we can help each other, right? We don't have like physicians just referring to the CSE, but parents have that right. The other party that has the right to refer kids to CSE is our own district. So we have, through your approval, appointed our response to intervention teams as that referring body for our schools. And so for us, it's really just about adhering to the procedures that we've agreed upon, to try things before, to follow the regulations. I will say that that's a target. That's been a target since I started as a director, aging myself 20 years ago almost. It's been the target. The citations and the monitoring are typically through the state performance plan, which has a bunch of indicators. Melanie just talked about indicator 8, that parent involvement. There's other ones too, where they're monitoring where we place kids, right? They're monitoring how prepared kids are. They interview our exiters and monitor those kids to say, did you end up where the team planned you would end up? So we have multiple data points. They have not come to any of us ever to say it's got to be 12.5% or here is the consequence. And I think it's about what Dr. Trawick said. It's keeping us in line and monitoring, but knowing that in our case, in my entire team's case, we can defend the classification for any student that we make that decision before. We take the procedures and the regulations really seriously. We also take into account areas for growth that we might have and, a current state, and we have that balance and we make that determination knowing that we have the support even if we're a little bit over what our target is, because we are unique in Greece and we're working hard, and we're not just classifying kids for no reason. We definitely are moving through procedures that are consistent with the regulations.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Dr. Trawick?
Last question, I promise. SEPTA, the parent group. So if I were new to the district, I had a child with special needs, would SEPTA be a place where I could learn techniques on how to advocate for my child? Maybe to be able to have a place where there are other parents that we could, as support? Or is there something else in place to support parents who are moving through this system? Because it could be difficult to understand, difficult to navigate. As great as your staff is, the parents, it still is a lot on a parent as well. So if you could just speak a little bit more about what SEPTA is, if it's that, or if there's something else in place.
So there's 3 sort of bodies that support families who are needing support with navigating special ed in a district. The first one is through SEPTA, where you could communicate and have those conversations regarding other parents of students with disabilities and their experiences. Having said that, the intent of SEPTA is not to advocate, right? Because they are an extension of our school district. So how do we work together to collaborate? When we come to disagreement, there are other places that assist families with advocating, and that's like a Starbridge type agency where they have family advocates at no cost who are able to support families and join them through the CSE process. The final way is through parent members that the board has approved every year. We only have 3 or 4 for our district. And that's a way, in order to be a parent member and approved by the board, you must have had a student with a disability in Greece. And to participate, they can participate upon parent request in the CSE meeting or connect before to share about their experiences and questions and answer those types of things, different things. Now, they also are a representative of the district, so they wouldn't be in a disagreement advocating, right? That would be more of an outside agency perspective of support. But yeah, I think SEPTA can do that and has done that. We're hoping to build up more participation in SEPTA to get the word out more, but also to bring more people in that will make the evenings more meaningful as far as connection to them.
Do you have something? Mr. Bonagura?
Thank you. I mentioned at a prior meeting that I was going to continue to applaud the efforts for our literacy program, and I'm going to take this opportunity to do that. I want to just applaud again the ARC training and the Orton Gillingham training that's going on. That's extremely valuable for all our students, but I know it's especially, it's a critical help strategy for students with dyslexia. I noticed that that's not in the distribution it's not pulled out as a separate category. Is that tucked in one of these? And I know it's a significant number, percentage.
Yep, so the definition of dyslexia is just a reading disability. So that's included within the category of learning disability.
Thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions? Just from a curiosity standpoint, are there any school districts that are below the state special ed numbers?
There are some.
Do you know which ones?
I do know some that are below. I think that they are not similar to the district, to our district, as far as population and programming available. And I think their practices are a little bit different as far as declassification. But there are some that are lower. It's mostly the smaller districts that are lower, right? They're the ones who seem to hover right around that classification area. I also know that Webster, where I live, has had a long standing sort of 10% or below, and I've been trying to figure out what's in the secret sauce in Webster Central for my entire life, because I don't know how they do it. They're a really large district. But yeah, most of our similar size are about the same.
And a follow-up to it, how does the state, what criteria do they use or is it a typical state, we're just gonna throw a number out and that's a number, because we think it's a good number?
Yeah, I've never been given any reason or rationale for the 12 and a half, and like I
So
said,
I
it's
was
been that way
right.
for, you're right, you're 100% right, naturally, not a surprise. 20 years, I haven't received any
Okay,
explanation.
I was just curious
Yeah.
how they, if there's some percentage of poverty, population,
Yep.
et cetera, that they use. Okay, thank you. Thank you very
I would
much.
say it's not even discussed that much, whereas new directors might not even know that it's a state target anymore, because it's
really?
really not even brought up, because now they're on the indicators, and those are
Gotcha.
really prescribed, and we're accountable for those in a lot of ways. as
Well,
far as
thank
data.
you guys so much for coming
you.
tonight. Thank you for
Appreciate it.
staying late. Thank you for allowing us a
Thank you.
break. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Have a great night. Moving on to change orders. Can I somebody move the change orders to the table, please? Moved by Mr. Maloney, seconded by Mr. Butler. Any comments, questions, concerns on the change orders? I'm just gonna say the change orders amount to $10,373. With that, all those in favor? That passes 8-0. Moving on to 7.01, budget and revenue status report. It's written information only. Does anybody have any questions? Seeing none, moving on to the consent agenda. Can I have somebody move the consent agenda to the table, please? Moved by Vice President Moore, second by Ms. Farmer. Any comments, questions, or concerns on that? I'm just gonna make a comment. I wanna thank the Greece Education Foundation. They donated over $20,000 to various schools throughout the district for a host of different things and programs and instruments, et cetera. And I'd also like to thank the Athena High Extra Classroom Fund. I'd like to thank Sharon Corder Realty for a donation she made to Athena. I'd like to thank the extra classroom funds at the district level for the Linda Ingram Scholarship and Olympia High School, and New York State Insurance for their school bus breakfast donation, and Vanessa Leckinger for a flute, and Senator Cooney's office for a donation of stuffed animals. With that, all those in favor of the consent agenda? That passes 8-0. Moving on to 9.01, course offering guide. Can I have somebody move that to the table, please? Moved by Ms. Farmer, seconded by Vice President Malora. Comments, questions, concerns on that? Seeing none, all those in favor? That passes 8-0. Moving on to 10.01, the pre-K curriculum recommendation. Can I have somebody move that to the table, please? Moved by Mr. Oh, it's written information. Oh, all right, I had a stroke. Let me enjoy my stroke. That's written information only. Does anybody have any questions? All right, moving on to 11.01. Be it resolved, the Board of Education, Greece Central School Districts approves the bus patrol opt-in agreement. Can I have somebody move that to the table, please? Moved by Mr. Butler, seconded by Mr. Maloney. Any comments, questions, or concerns on this? I'm just gonna make a comment. This has been something we've been looking at for a while, not only at the county level, but at the local level, and Mr. Richardson and I through the Monroe County Traffic Safety Board. I'm not sold, it's 100%, the best thing in the world, but when it comes to student safety, I think it's imperative that we as a Board of Education try things and do things that maybe, it's gonna be unpopular in the community. There's gonna be some people that are gonna be mad. You get a $250 fine, you're gonna be mad. And you're gonna be mad at me, you're gonna be mad at Kathy, you're gonna be mad at Dave. But at the end of the day, it's about student safety. I think it's in our best interest to take that step, to try a program that I think is gonna reduce the amount of vehicles passing school buses. I drive all over this town every single day, and I've said it to Dave, I've said it to Kathy. The number of cars in this town that pass school buses is abhorrent. I mean, I drove fire trucks in this town for 30 years. A fire truck going to the biggest house fire, grandma not breathing, a baby not breathing, can't pass a stop school bus. And people are passing stop school buses all day long in this town. I mean, I was on Maiden, I think it was Maiden Lane the other day, and I watched 3 cars, boom, 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 pass the school bus. And one of our students is gonna get killed. I mean, I can't tell you how to vote. I hope you all vote. I'd like to see this be unanimous if possible, because I think from a student safety standpoint, this is something that we should be doing as a Board of Education. Any other comments?
If I could just say, the ability for us to get out of it if we determine that it's not working, and I know that Kathy, you'll be keeping an eye on the metrics and things, that makes me, comfortable with giving it a try also.
All right. Mr. Maloney?
I will be pissed with the $250.
Well, don't pass a school bus, Mr. Maloney, and you'll be fine. And your actions have consequences, may I remind you. With that, Mr. Bonagorio.
I also have reservations whether it's approved or not. I would say, it seems to me that one of the primary means of alerting our community to the need here is some kind of public relations campaign, as Mr. Butler mentioned. So whether it's approved or not, I think that might be a wise thing to take up, so.
Thank you, Mr. Bonagorio. Ms. Farmer?
Sure, I just don't feel that I have enough information to vote, so I don't know if
You can't abstain. You have to vote yes or no. There's no
Okay.
reason for you to vote abstain. With that, any other comments or questions? All right, all those in favor? Those opposed? That passes 5-3. Moving on to board member comments. Board member comments, we got a host of hands. All right, we'll start with you, Mrs. Farah. We'll start at that end of the table.
All right, good evening, everyone. I wanted to start off first with letting everyone know that committee meetings are on their way out here. We have been meeting, legislator committee meetings have gone, labor relations committee meetings, code of conduct meetings, curriculum meetings, so we'll all be starting to get an update regarding those. I also wanted to say that it is Veterans Day coming up close. I was honored to be at the Veterans Outreach Center honoring my father, and our Kelly Flagler already beat me to it, but Mr. Maloney, congratulations. Thank you for your support in the Marines. That goes unnoted. Also, I was on the other end of the table 2 years ago congratulating someone on the board here, and that would be Mr. Sean McCabe. And I don't know if it's a congratulations today or if this is a good luck because you're running unopposed. So are you a good luck speech tonight or is this a congratulations speech?
Oh, Mickey Mouse might be ahead.
All right, wonderful. So congratulations.
Thank you.
Last but not least, it is our last board meeting for the month, and we are going to miss you guys all on Thanksgiving. So I hope you all have a great holiday, and we will see you back in December.
Mr. Maloney?
I've only got 3 things to say. One, it's Happy Veterans Day, and remember the folks that are on the line tonight holding it for a peace for us. Also, it's Marine Corps' birthday on the 10th, and congratulations. And also, all veterans are invited tomorrow to Long Ridge School at 9:30, if they're not already invited to other schools for other events. And I also attended the Labor Relations session the other day and it had to do with the Code Sentinel defending the virtual gates. It's a program, we also have that program here, through our tech department and our HR department and everything else. And also for personally, you should check all your stuff, emails. Don't answer any crazy emails. Don't give any birth dates, social security numbers. You all know the drill. But generally, that's what the meeting was about, and just would like to inform you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr.
Have a good evening.
Ms. Farmer?
Sure, so I would like to so I was at a conference a couple weekends ago, and one of the things that came out of this conference was that 90% of kids, 94% of kids who are part of the career tech ed, we're seeing a 94% graduation rate out of that. So that was good to hear in connection with what Kathy was talking about. And it's been quite a month. So Terry and I were on a field trip. We went to the art gallery with some kids from Arcadia, which was really great to be a part, interacting with our kids. Also been part of the decision-making team where we met for the full day, and it was time well spent. PLC, Professional Learning Circle with the Early Learning Center. I was over there for their first meeting, and then I met with Mrs. Kelly Flagler, principal at Athena, and Shauna Sweet Director Shauna Sweet. And before I got here tonight, I went to vote, and 2 of our kids were there from Athena, Quinari and Erica. So that was really cool to see CIA citizens in action. And last but not least, I want to thank, and putting it on the microphone, thank you for a beautiful Board Appreciation Week. The gifts, the cards, the thoughts were well received. It's been past few months have been a tough one personally. So that just walking in was like, oh, what a nice way to come back. So thank you so much.
Mr. Butler?
Yeah, thank you. 2 things. One, the arts are alive and well in Greece Central Schools. Tonight, before the board meeting, many of us were able to go over and see our amazing marching band, the Greece Marching Band, perform, and how those young ladies in their dance costumes didn't freeze solid out there, I'm not sure, but they were amazing. But that's just one example of the way the arts are thriving in this district. If you look at the musical schedule on the back of your program when it comes out, it's like the RBTL subscription list with Little Shop of Horrors and Seussical the Musical and Grease and Wizard of Oz and Pippin and Hairspray and Finding Nemo and Annie. It's just amazing the talent and the opportunities that this district has for kids, and so I'd encourage people to attend that. And speaking of attending, I want to keep up the attention to attendance because it's such a critically important thing, and I hope that families who are having any trouble getting their kids to school 100% of the time will reach out to people at their school building because they want to help. Thanks.
Thank you. Mr. Bongorio?
Thank you. It's PVT, it's Positive Vibe Tuesday. I love that presentation by the Arcadia students, the flag football team, and Coach Lipinski. That really resonated with me. I love the way they were writing their script to be their own best positive change agents, to be their best selves, and for themselves and for their teams, their school, all of that. And I loved hearing the 2 students talking about that rivalry in such a positive way with their neighboring town. So really cool stuff that we've got going on. I thought I wanted to take off on that. Positive vibes. Thank you to our veterans, Bill, and so many others that we have in the district and among us. And just, continuing that PVT. It is Thanksgiving coming up. I had this instance happen to me this morning at a restaurant. Someone asked me, how are things going on the board? And I get that question a lot. And my typical answer is, we have our differences, but they're all decent people. And that, you know, the board, the administration, I'm really thankful for that. So happy Thanksgiving to all of you, and
Thank you, Mr. Bonagoro. Dr. Trawick?
So I want to say, first I'd like to say thank you to our speaker tonight. I know it's not easy to come before the Board of Education and be able to present your issues. I was at a conference once, and I met a woman. We were talking, because I like to talk. She was raising her grandkids, and she was talking about the problems she was having with the school. And so we were talking more and more, and I suggested, you know, maybe she should bring them to a Board of Education meeting. She wasn't here. She was living in New Jersey. And I just remember her statement was, would the board listen to me? Like, bringing an issue to the Board of Education, would they listen? And I told her, I said, I'm on the Board of Education. Even though the problem may not be solved at this table, you have a right to be heard. And so I just want to thank those that do come. I want to thank the staff and cabinet and the teachers and everyone that's involved in the interactive process that has to take place to solve the problem at whatever level. As long as we are engaging in that process, then we are growing. It may not be an outcome that satisfies everyone, but when we stop talking, I think that's where we become stifled. So I want to say thank you all who, you know, the parents that bravely come, or caretakers, or neighbors, no matter what the issues are, the staff that it may fall in their lap and they have to try to work together, and the administrators, and then us as board members. Again, our role is very specific here, but there is, I think there's an empowerment that happens when you know that the governing body is willing to listen to you. So I wanted to state that first. Secondly, I wanted to say thank you. Thank you for our dual credit courses. So this is to Dr. Colicchio and all of those who make that happen. My son's a freshman this year. He was able to start college with many credits. When we went to the ceremony, congratulating all the students, I noticed that there were so many credits he didn't take advantage of that he should have. Some of his friends he was hanging out with, they had way more credits than he did, but that's a private home conversation. But it was helpful. And I just made a few notes, like, you know, he's been in school these past few months, and, you know, he said things to me like, Mom, I know how to do college. You know, where other people are struggling with trying to find a routine and, you know, the inability to talk to their professors. He had all of that experience right here by going through our dual credit courses. So I want to say thank you for that. I think it's a tremendous help for students. I also want to echo the sentiments about the band. You know, band mom here, and I think it should be open to all Greece students. I do. I know we've been very protective about it and wanting it for just our district, and, you know, this is just my one little voice. But what I saw tonight, and actually Principal Flagler was standing next to me crying, and then I started crying. And I think we both were crying because there were 95 students who we managed to keep engaged in something that they all love to do, you know, and it was beautiful and artistic. And so that's why I was crying. And then she said she was crying because the community was all together. That's what she kept saying, look at the community all together. So sorry to put your business on the street. Oh, there you go, you're still here. But it was such a beautiful experience, so I'm just throwing that out there. Maybe some scenario where we open it up and allow others, students within our district, to participate. Last but not least, I just wanted to say for those working in our special education department, so happy to hear that there is going to be something being done for our students that age out of the system. In my current work, I'm seeing those students as displaced adults. And it is so sad. Some of them are just wandering without a beacon. So the fact that we can keep them one extra year is a blessing. But I also want to make an acknowledgement that once again, the schools are having to catch what society isn't prepared for. No political statement, it just is what it is. And then lastly, ChatGPT. We got to get on the wave, guys. I didn't see it in the course offering. I'm sure it'll, find its way in some of our course offerings, but our kids are using it, and I want to make sure that we are guiding them in a responsible way. So outside of that, happy Veterans Day to Mr. Maloney. Happy Veterans Day to my grandpa, who's not here with us anymore, and all of those that are serving. And I also want to say happy Thanksgiving to all.
Thanks, Dr. Trawick. Vice President Moore?
First of all, I had the opportunity to visit my school, Athena Middle School. I haven't been up there in a while. Met with the administrators and some teachers. Shared a lot of data with me. I'm excited. I was also very excited because they finally got new lockers. They had the originals up there, and it looked fantastic. And first thing I said is, did you get the lockers? So I was happy about that. I do spend a lot of time talking about the arts, but before I do, I want to congratulate the Arcadia cheerleaders who came in second in New York State. We're doing pretty good in the state this month, aren't we? I had the opportunity to meet some beautiful young artists whose artwork was picked to be hanging in district office, and it was just a thrill, and see how excited they were to see their pictures in frames. And if you get a chance to go up there, please look at that. I know I do a lot with the arts. Jeremy's always telling me that. Got to see Little Shop of Horrors at Athena. It was fantastic. This next 2 weekends, Arcadia High School is doing Seussical the Musical, and for every adult who buys a ticket, a child can go for free. So if you know families that want to get out there, it would be a great opportunity. The show looks great. Kudos to the community schools program. They had their fall festival. I couldn't believe how crowded it was, and to see so many families there enjoying our schools, it was fantastic. And I just have to say, I'm trying not to get emotional, but our theme this year is Better Together. And when you saw the marching band and think they came from all the different schools, we are better together, and I'm glad we were recognized through the state. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Thanks, Vice President Moore. I'm just going to echo, there's going to be some things I'm going to repeat. The Grease Marching Band, #1 in the state. That's an accomplishment. I mean, to be state champions is huge. And from where that program started several years ago, I mean, I know I was a little bit skeptical with Dr. Colicchio at the time that this was going to be what it is. And it was truly amazing to watch the performance tonight and to see how far that program has come. And again, echoing Dr. Trawick's statement and Vice President Lohr's statement about the community being there and the number of people. I mean, it was a cold night out there, and they were riled up, so it was great to see. I want to echo the Arcadia High School cheerleaders. They won Section 5 Class B champions. They finished second in the state, and their coach, Stacy Pike, was named the Section 5 Coach of the Year. So congratulations to that group of students. I had the opportunity to visit the Transportation Center with Mr. Richardson and Karen Castera, and met an amazing amount of great people at Transportation. Got a tour of the building, spent some time observing how the afternoon bus runs occur, and it's an impressive operation. If you've never seen it, the people coming in and going out and what they do, it's really a neat thing to observe. I attended for a brief while, not as long as Mrs. Farmer did, the shared decision-making meeting, and I just want to echo, to see a district bringing its leaders together, its teachers together, its administration together, and talking about how they can do things together. Again, it echoes that better together, collaboration. And there's some, as Mrs. Flagler saw, some spicy discussions on occasion, but they work through it, and it's great to see, and it's great to see us to be in the forefront of that and to see the participation across the district from so many different levels. I really appreciate that. I want to thank Mr. Maloney and all the residents and our staff members and everybody that served, and those that have family members that are currently serving, I mean, especially in this unknown world. It takes a lot of character and guts and determination to be a member of our armed services. And I want to truly thank them for what they do and the service they gave, whether it was 40 years ago or if it's today. They should be greatly appreciated. They have a tough time. I mean, I know my son's been freezing his tail off up at Fort Drum for the last month outside, so I appreciate what you guys do every day. I want to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving. Take the time to enjoy your family time. It's important to enjoy family, especially in the holidays, and Thanksgiving is a great day to be thankful for that. And last, I'm going to wrap up with one of my pride and joys in this school district is last night I was lucky enough to attend the opening of the Family Resource Center at Long Ridge Elementary School. And that, if you haven't seen it yet, please take the time to go over and visit it. It's a great, they've done a great job. And it was truly amazing to witness last night and to see the number of people that were there last night to do it and how excited the kids were bouncing around and getting interviewed by the TV. So it was really, I mean, it's really a great thing to see. And as that program continues to expand is awesome. And I know there's some other things in the works that we're working on with that. So I'm looking forward to where that program all goes. With that, Superintendent Krautman.
Yeah, I keep coming back to, our theme is Better Together. What we have really worked hard on this year is identifying and working on the qualities of high-functioning teams. So we've taken that bigger, broader theme, and as a leadership team, really looked at what high-functioning teams are and how we can foster and become better, because at the root of high-functioning teams is better results. I want to point out that we have a team here who, in my opinion, is a really high-functioning team, our special education department, like I said at the beginning of that presentation. I also want to point out the work, when we talk about supporting families, there's SEPTA and there's formal agencies that support families, but the biggest support that I think our families get are the relationships that they're creating with people at their schools. So, and I don't take that lightly, because as a principal for 12 years, a huge part of my job was developing relationships with families, and particularly families who had students with significant needs. And I was their advocate. I would not tell a parent what to do, but I would make sure that they understood the path. I would make sure that they understood where to go. And what you're doing as a team with your PLC, and what this group doesn't necessarily see, is that you have regular PLC meetings where you bring the folks from the schools together to make sure that they are sort of armed with the best information and that they know the right way to advocate and steer families and the best way to support them. And I know our families, just from a family resource center, we're opening that to bring families in to develop trust and really work to figure out what their needs are and how to connect them. So I just see it as so big, but a lot of it is rooted in your department, and it is really appreciated. I want to point out the work going on with literacy. So we are on our second round of coaching right now. So we put that in our plans in terms of goals for this year and mapped out a plan. We have the American Reading Company here for the second time, so it's only beginning of November, and we have our schools going through their second round of coaching, which is a really rigorous process. It has got us on the edge of learning. And again, as a high-functioning team, what we've really embraced is this idea of humility and learning and being open. So I see so much good things, or so many good things happening related to that, and it's also a ton of work, so I want to acknowledge that. I want to say thank you to our HR department. So it is the month of November, and as we enter in, we think of Thanksgiving and being grateful. Our HR department has created this whole bracket of giving and Thanksgiving stuff that is sort of driving district office, but we are in the midst of a pretty significant food collection and giving month, and I know our people are amazing, but your department has put work into that, so thank you for that. It takes someone to organize. And while I'm on high-functioning teams, obviously, just to recognize our the flag football kids that were here, our cheer, and the Grease Marching Band, obviously, who've done just amazing things and made our community so proud. So we're really, really grateful. Like was mentioned already, the arts opportunities that we have right now, but also that are coming. I asked
our new director, Mario, to put together a spreadsheet, and I think that there are 60 things on the list of opportunities that we can do through the month of November and December. So I hope that people get out and enjoy our students, and really show their gratitude towards all the adults that are working with them to help them feel connected and do their best. And lastly, I would just say, Happy Veterans Day, Bill. Thank you for your service, and obviously the people in our community. I'm so moved at our schools and all the different opportunities that they're bringing veterans into school to show their gratitude, and look forward to Long Ridge tomorrow as well. Yeah, it'll be nice. So thank you, everybody.
I'd like to make a motion.
And congratulations to Mr. McCabe.
No, thank you.
I mean, I feel
Oh,
like
you
we
did win.
congratulate
Good.
you. Mickey Mouse is not
No,
winning.
Word's not in, but I'm winning pretty good, so I'm pretty safe, I think.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
But I'd like to make a motion to adjourn this meeting.
Very good. Is there a second? Mr. Bonagorio, all those in favor? Thank you, everyone. Have a great evening.
Congrats.
Thank you.